supporters, and they know where we're at. All right? So you've got to really make some noise with me today. How about this great, blessed day in free America? We have been blessed with a president who believes in honoring God first and putting America first. And what more is there to celebrate than that? I'm just very grateful today, and I'm grateful on behalf of NCGOP, the Terry Moore for putting this together, voter integrity, our many sponsors, and for Charles Helwig, who could not be our MC today, who's running for the Wake GOP chair, has asked me to be your MC today. My name is Kim Coley, and on behalf of all of us, we say thank you for your support. Thank you! Without further ado, I would like to start off by I need a little help. I'm looking for, can you help me? Please? Come help. This is the way we do it. We raise up the next generation of leaders. Get on up here.
That's right.
What's your name? Tyler. Hey, Tyler. This is Tyler. Tyler, can you help me ask these people to stand up and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. Would you all stand with me, please? This way. All right, ready? Go ahead. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Let's go!
That sounds like Sarah Palin.
Steve Rosser, would you come up here and pray a prayer for us, please, sir?
Good morning. Let's pray down the fire. How about that? That was kind of weak. But anyway, we're going to pray it down anyway. Just a word before we pray. I'm still singing the same song that I sang the last time when we did this on the 4th of March. And it's this. Change, lasting change, only comes when our hearts are yielded to Him, to the Lord. Okay? Bottom line, we can't look at a Republican or a Democrat and say it's their fault or they need it, which they all do, but the point of it is this: the only way that there's going to be any change in this nation is to come back to Him. This country was founded upon godly principles, okay? And because of that, and see, we've gotten away from it because, let's face it, people have gotten comfortable over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, and then we look and we see, and here we come today. And who would have ever thought that we would be witnessing the things that we witness, hearing the things that we hear? I know back in the mid-'70s, I was working in radio, and I had just become a Christian. And I remember going into this Christian bookstore, and I would talk to the guy who owned it, and I was always attracted to Chick tracts. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about with Chick tracts. I see a head bobbing over there, and I always enjoyed reading them. Now, there was one that they had in there, and they were showing about, and he was talking about there would come a time when people would be beheaded. Now, I got to be honest with you. I was 23 years old then, and I thought, that ain't going to happen in my lifetime. Yes, it does. And that's not just something that happens in the Middle East, okay? If there's anything ever been demonic, it's that religion, okay? It's an unclean spirit because of the things that they do. There's no question about it. There's no more God in that than the man in the moon. Okay? But I want to say this. Here's the good news. 2 verses of scripture, then we'll pray. This is one of my favorites. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17 says this, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." Okay? And we look and we go, okay. And let's face it, everybody here wants freedom. I saw some of somebody with the patch on, and it says something about rules, not liking rules. And, yeah. And you know what? If we listen to Him, we would be led by His Spirit. And then nobody would have to direct us or say, you can't go here, you can't go there. We wouldn't need the cops out here. But that's not the way it is. And you say, well, how do you get that? You know, the Spirit is not a matter of being something that's disembodied. But Jesus gives us the answer in the Gospel of John, chapter 6, verse 63. And this is what He said. He said, "My words are spirit. My words are spirit, and they are life." Okay? So you know something, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. But then if the Spirit of the Lord is where there's liberty and freedom, and then He says, "My words are spirit," then you know what? You put them together, and that's where we find freedom. Freedom from any bondage, freedom from anything that oppresses. And you know what? Because He created us in His image. And I want to say, it's here for anybody. Lord, even those who cut people's heads off, He loves them still. Okay? Now, let's pray. Take the hand of the person beside you. They're not going to bite you. If they do, they won't last long. But Father, as we come to You today, we give You all of the glory and the honor. Father, we thank You that we have been created in Your image. Lord, You created us to be able to hear You. You created us to be able to respond to You. And Father, as we've gathered out here today, we thank You and we pray for our nation. Father, in the name of Jesus, I ask that again that You forgive us, this nation, Lord, for the blood that is on our hands. Father, in the name of Jesus, we ask right now, Lord, for Your healing in this country. We pray that there will be a boldness, that there will be a yieldedness, Lord, in our elected officials to respond to You with yes. Father, in the name of Jesus, anybody who sees You and knows You knows that there's freedom, there's peace, there's joy. And Your scripture says that in the presence of the Lord is fullness of joy. Father, in Jesus' name, we pray right now that, Lord, that You would speak to our hearts now. Lord, that we will hear what Your Spirit is saying, that, Father, that when we leave, that there will be a change in us, Lord, that we would begin to pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, those who oppose this, they're not our enemies. Father, it's a spirit. It's the spirit of this world. Father, Your word tells us where there's confusion, there is every evil thing. And Father, we just ask right now for Your touch, Your freedom, Your deliverance, and we break the powers of darkness over our own state government. Father, over our federal government. Father, give President Trump wisdom. Father, give him discernment. Father, I pray that he not be led astray or deceived by somebody who comes as a wolf in sheep's clothing. And Father, we just commit ourselves in this time to You, to Your glory, in Jesus' name. And everybody who agrees said, Amen. Thank you. God bless you.
My name is Raleigh NC. If you guys will stand, remove your caps and place your right hand over your heart for the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's give it up for Brody one more time. Well, I personally am a Pollyanna. And for those of you that don't know what Pollyanna means, it means I always see the glass half full. I look at the world through rose-colored glasses. But even lately, this Pollyanna can get a little discouraged, overwhelmed by all the negativity that we're constantly being pounded by. You being here today is how you get your backbone, how you remember we're making history, where you realize what we're fighting for, what we fought for, how we've won so far. You guys, this is our opportunity to encourage one another. So before you take a seat, if you haven't done so already, love on somebody next to you as I introduce our first speaker, who is a former highway patrol officer and Wake County Sheriff's Officer. Would you please welcome with me your first Go Team Go cheerleader for today, Mr. Jim Stevens.
Thank you very much for asking me to speak today. I wonder if there's anyone here that can recall what occurred on July the 23rd, 2009. That was the day that a CNN reporter reported that President Obama said that the police in Cambridge, Massachusetts, quote, acted stupidly in arresting a prominent black Harvard professor after a confrontation at the man's home. That was all the details President Obama had at that time. A prominent black professor had been arrested in a confrontation at his home. Yet, that alone was enough information for the President of the United States to declare publicly the police acted stupidly. Now, President Trump, he's often criticized for speaking out unconventionally and sometimes not being as politically correct as some would prefer. But I don't believe he has or would, without having the pertinent facts, criticize a dedicated, brave, and professional peace officer who was, in fact, performing his sworn duties. I retired in 2015 after 44 years of serving my community, my county, and my state as a law enforcement officer. I served my country in the United States Armed Forces. I have served my church as a Sunday school teacher and a deacon. I have contributed to worthy charities. I've paid my bills and my taxes on time. I have never been arrested, never used illegal drugs, and I raised and educated my daughter. I maintained my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ even while my wife was suffering and dying with brain cancer. I continued to rely on Him a year later when I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I fought I prayed, and I was surrounded with a lot of great people, and I survived. But in the eyes of at least one presidential candidate, I am deplorable. Well, you know, there's a lot of deplorable people, men and women out there right now, with stories similar to mine and similar to yours. Servants of the people who are risking their lives every single day to keep us safe. There are hundreds of thousands of first responders in this country who are doing difficult and dangerous work. And they're not only serving and protecting their fellow citizens, they are literally holding together the fabric that makes America the great nation that it is. Imagine, if you can, one day without law enforcement. Education, is as important as it is, would be impossible. The legislature could not function were it not for officers to enforce the laws they make. Men, women, and children would not be safe in their own homes, at school, at work, or on the streets. Now, of course, not every single individual officer is of noble character, but by far, the vast majority are dedicated, devoted, and courageous men and women. But they need help, and especially support. Support from the citizens that they serve, and support from our governmental leaders. They do not need leaders who criticize them for doing their jobs properly. They do not deserve to be called racist, homophobes, and xenophobes when they enforce the law without regard for social status, just as they should.
That's right.
Rather, they deserve to be appreciated. They deserve to have judges and justices right up to the Supreme Court appointed who are willing to give the police the tools they need within the intended limits of the Constitution.
That's right.
We now have a president willing to do those very things. Let us support him and support our law enforcement officers.
That's right. Yay! Woo!
What a great day. Thank you so much, Mr. Stevens. I am looking and I don't see him yet, so I'm going to continue on. Mark Brody. Come on up. I'll start. I know I threw you off, sir, and I apologize for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mark Brody. He is a member of the North Carolina House of Representatives from District 55, representing Union and Anson counties. He is also the Republican National Committeeman from North Carolina, representing the North Carolina Republican Party. He has been married for 41 years.
Wow.
Where's your wife? I want
43.
43. We've got a typo. 43 years to his wife Elisa, and has 3 daughters and 3 grandchildren. 3? Are we still 3?
Yes.
Okay. Today, like many of you, Mark made a long trip to come speak with us, driving 3 hours to come show us his support for President Trump. Would you please welcome with me Mr. Mark Brody?
Thank you very much. I wanted to just start out by introduce myself. I'm state representative. I'm also a member of the House, or the Legislative Freedom Caucus. And yes, we do have a Freedom Caucus in our legislature. But I wanted to...
Yay!
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to say that you probably don't hear a lot of noise from me because I'm a conservative, but I tend to do things that on pretty much of a quiet basis. Although occasionally I do get into news. I don't know if you've heard of the bill out there that's about to challenge the NCAA and the ACC for their tax-exempt status. Well, that's my bill. And I think we've just had enough of this foolishness and we need to get down to it.
There you go.
I've also had the ability to meet up with the transgender folks, and I guess I was quoted as saying that transgenderism, political transgenderism, is not a something you're born with. It's a choice, and you decide to do that. And basing it on the comment that I got from scientific evidence, you plain have a mental disorder.
Thank you.
And I
so
publicly
too.
said that, and when asked, do I want to retract it, I said absolutely not. I will not do that.
I agree.
So, and also I've spent some time writing down a couple of notes, and so forgive me for somewhat reading this. I just wasn't ever born a natural speaker, so I'm going to have to rely. But here it goes. Fellow Republicans, independents, and even Democrats were just curious about seeking information. I come from Union County to stand with you in celebrating the victory, the dedication to his promises, and the ultimate success of our President Donald Trump. Many of you here know me, but some don't. So, like I said, I'm a representative for Union County, and also a member of the vice chair of the Freedom Caucus, and a member of the RNC. And the reason I ran for the position of RNC is because I felt it was important that I bring North Carolina traditional values to Washington, and sometimes they go a little liberal and they need some correcting now and then. So I think I would do my part in that. I want to speak to you about the successes of North Carolina and the vast potential of this state as President Trump moves forward with his agenda that he laid out during the campaign and began from day one to implement. North Carolina is a sovereign state, meaning it subject itself to this great nation, passing on only limited authority to the federal government while keeping the rest for itself. The last 8 years have seen an unprecedented assault on our liberties, forced changes in our traditional values and cultural norms, a radical reinterpretation of our Constitution, and the Democrats, who have been appointed to lifelong positions in our judiciary, have taken to political activism as a legislative option. Even with facing those issues, North Carolina has been recognized as having the fastest rate of economic growth in the nation in the past 3 years. Tourism, believe it or not, is at a record high in North Carolina, tripling the national average of the nation itself. And 400 new private sector jobs have been created since the legislature became Republican. North Carolina is doing well, and the Trump era has just begun. Donald Trump believes in the 50 states being 50 laboratories of innovation, and so do I. For an example, our state has sent a Medicaid reform package to the Obama administration 3 years ago, which we estimated would save ourselves another $500 million while still giving better service and providing for more people, but we got no response.
Wow.
If President Trump block grants this money, as he stated, we'll be able to move forward with those reforms and add another $500 million to the surplus we already have. Those who don't know, we have a $500 million surplus.
Yeah, thank you, McCrory.
Under the McCrory administration, yes. When President Trump directs Congress and our new Secretary of Education to block grant our education funding, we will be able to implement long overdue changes in our education system, including finally ridding ourselves of the disaster known as Common Core. North Carolina, being the most military-friendly state in the Union, stands ready to help in a readiness buildup, improving our preparedness of our men and women for training and the tasks that they have to do, and the ultimate care and support of our veterans when their service ends. Nominee Trump spent a lot of time in North Carolina, so we got to know him better than most in the nation. We got to know his personal beliefs, God, family, country, and a work ethic that we can be proud to use as a role model for our children. He's a principled leader, and he believes that the Constitution of our nation is, as we call in our Republican platform, an enduring covenant between the people of this nation and a government that is meant to be subservient. In light of that, he has sought out judges to serve on our Supreme Court who believe in that idea also. And we are now in the process, as you know, of confirming our first. It's our hope that the courts can soon get back to their prime function of serving as impartial arbiters and not lawmakers. As long as I'm on the subject of values, President Trump has made it clear he does not support the Obama administration's obsession with gender identity, and has reversed his executive order dealing with that subject. Moreover, as a matter of record here, and so everybody knows, I voted originally for HB 2. I have no intention of ever repealing it, and I stand ready to put an end to this economic extortion that the Democrats and the governors are heaping on our state. As a Republican legislator who can say that myself and my colleagues have accomplished a lot, I look forward to the Trump era as it unfolds. A reduction in job-killing regulations, especially from the EPA, can streamline business growth in North Carolina. A repeal of Dodd-Frank can free up capital for business expansion, and negotiating better trade deals can increase demand for American products and markets to the world. As I wind down, I want to say, as we enter the Trump era, we Republicans, independents, and even Democrats who haven't yet realized that the Democratic Party has long since left them behind, we affirm the principles that unite us in a common cause and purpose. We wish for peace, so we insist on strength. We seek friendship with all peoples, but remain to prepare to deal with evil. We demand control of our borders while we reject government control over our schools, farms, businesses, and religious institutions. We insist on enforcement of our laws, recognizing that only elected officials can make those laws. We believe in our constitutional system, limited government, separation of powers, federalism, and the rights of the people. And we believe that America is an exceptional nation, and thank God we have a president who does so also. Thank you very much for your attention.
Our next speaker, Jay, founded the Voter Integrity Project in 2011 with a mission of ensuring free and fair elections to all lawful registered voters. He is a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel with a military experience in both conventional and nuclear operations. That's why he's so explosive. Did you hear that? Okay. With an advanced degree work in journalism, business, and political communications. His past teaching assignments include Park College, Kansas, Bluefield College, Virginia, Tightwater Community College in Virginia, Liberty University, North Carolina State University, and Duke University. Jay believes that at the end of the day, voting is a great equalizer among our civil rights. When each American citizen enters that voting booth, we are all equal, regardless of our skin color, party affiliation, social status, religious beliefs, etc. All those things that divide us. Every time another voter fraudulently takes a second vote, our votes are violated. At the same time, public trust in our entire system of government is weakened that much more. He fights every day to protect the rights of all legal voters and is an outspoken advocate for voting integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. J. Delancy. I kind of like him.
Oh, wow, who is that guy? How we doing? Okay, I just want to be sure y'all are awake. Are you really? You doing okay? Okay. Now, I got a favor to ask of you. I noticed that when you came here, nobody checked your ID, right? Okay, I'm wondering if I could get you to kind of scrunch in and show your ID, and I want to take a picture of you. Could I get that out of you? We got to show our ID. The problem we have in this culture right now is that until we get it across to our elected officials that voter ID is important, the other party is going to come in and just undo it and think that what they're doing is fine. When the vast majority, let's scrunch. I'm going to move you, make you uncomfortable here, because my camera isn't that wide,
I got to dig in my purse.
I appreciate it. No sacrifice too great for our freedom, right?
Okay.
Oh, this is awesome. You want to come out and shoot this too? Thank you so much. Those are real ones, yeah. If you don't have yours, just
Scoot over,
put up someone else's. It'll be All right, big smiles now. Come on. Show them you're proud of showing your ID. All right, thank you so much. All right, we've, thank you. I get a little exercise, get you moving. Can't stand this. I like to walk around with a microphone. This is not going to happen. So it's just a little show and tell here. We have, as I mentioned, our big problem is the culture, in that they don't believe there's vote fraud because the media won't tell them, and because the prosecutors won't prosecute them. I know people go, that sounds like a conspiratorial theory.
That's it.
But guess what? We have provided more than 100 criminal referrals to North Carolina and Florida involving people who voted in both states. So far, exactly 2 of them have been prosecuted. They're both Republican. So they wanted to make a show trial out of the Republicans prosecuting. We get in a fight with the DA down in, I won't name the county. Thank you. Will this work? Will this work?
Hey, we get in a fight with. Oh, no. Now we've lost everything.
Oh, no, we can hear you. Hello.
Check. Okay, we get in a fight with the district attorney in Mecklenburg County over this, and he lectures us that it's only a Class I felony. It is the lowest form of felony on North Carolina statute. In fact, you can get in more trouble in North Carolina for stealing a bale of pine straw than for stealing an election, because that is a Class H felony, and vote fraud is a Class I felony. And if you stand out in the corner all day soliciting people to vote illegally for you, that's a misdemeanor in North Carolina. So you wonder why no one's ever prosecuted, and the left sits there and says, well, there's no prosecution, therefore there's no fraud. And so it's a lot more complicated than that. But the reason we've been able to make any difference at all is because of people like you. With spreading, there are a couple of things I could share with you and suggest you do to help us. Number one is these stickers. We want politicians and people on the left, every time they get up and drive around, we want them to see these stickers. And what it is kind of the North Carolina flag, and it says, NC voter ID, card me. We want this culture to realize that voter ID is okay, that it's normal, it's expected.
That's right.
McClatchy recently ran a survey, and they found 85% of black people even favored voter ID. You didn't read about that one in the paper. We did find their survey online because they don't want to put that in the paper. We have to make sure these politicians understand it, and the judges, and even the politicians are going to challenge the Republicans, and we've seen in Colorado and places where when they did that and they won, they immediately started rolling back all election security laws. So that's step one. This is something every one of you can do. If you don't want to stick it on your bumper, I don't blame you. I stick mine on the glass because you can, if you get fed up with us, you can just peel it off and be done with it. But no, it's a good thing to have on your glass on the back of your car to show that you care about voter ID. Okay, the second thing involves badges. Do we need stinking badges? Okay, we have these badges. These are called Voter Integrity Project volunteers. There's two kinds of talent levels. I mean, the only reason we do anything successfully at all is because of, again, people like you, people who donate their time. What we have done is things like, well, it's crowdsourcing of research. And through doing that, we had one guy who, we need programmers, and this programmer helped us by looking at data that we gave him from the court system, and we matched against the voter roll and found over 500 people who had gotten out of jury duty by claiming they were not U.S. citizens, but they were registered voters. And over 100 of them had actually voted, and so we made a lot of noise about that. It didn't end well for us because we did not have lawyers, and they did, and it's kind of shows the limits of what innocent people can do in trying to get when you start approaching this voter ID problem. When we first got involved in it, that was our first foray into there. If there were a movie about it, it'd be called Bambi Goes Hunting, because I was Bambi. If you want to know how bad it was, look up my name and the words temper tantrum. Google that and you'll see. It was ugly. I just walked out of the hearing. Why not? It was a kangaroo trial anyway, so I figured I'll just walk out and kind of change the story. But the point is, we learned, and crowds helped us with that information and doing the processing. We had over 6,000 names we had to match with eyeballs against addresses. Then we found dead people. We found 30,000 of them who were on the North Carolina voter roll. That, again, was a crowdsourced research project from all across the state. People helped us with that. And that worked out really well. And it even got us some coverage on Fox News, and we became known to some people and a target to others. And so, George Soros, even his Media Matters site, even opened up a page on us now, criticizing us and trying to discredit us. So anyway, we've moved on from there and found people who had voted illegally in both Florida and North Carolina. Those were public records. We were able to do some more work, some more crowdsourced research, and we were able to find these people. And we did get prosecutions, well, 2 of them so far. One guy actually voted in North Carolina and Florida for 3 presidential elections in a row.
We're here live.
And then he tried to remove himself from North Carolina's voter roll, only, it didn't work out so well because we had the data copy. It wasn't just the website, but it was the data behind it. So we knew what he had done, and we kept pursuing him, and finally got law enforcement to track him down, and he taunted the law enforcement officer, said, "I'm not coming back to North Carolina, you'll never catch me." And he left. And so we had to hunt for him some more and found him in Tennessee. Come to find out, not only was he in Tennessee, but he was voting there too. So that was a threefer.
Wow.
He voted in Tennessee, Florida, and North Carolina for the same elections in 2012 and in 2008. And because he taunted the policeman, they wound up holding him in jail, which was kind of cool because the crime itself, the penalty was 2 years of probation. So he wouldn't have even gone to jail. They do not prosecute vote fraud because the penalties are so low. If I could ask you to make one phone call to your elected reps, is to raise the penalties for vote fraud in North Carolina. This is not a Congress thing. This is North Carolina. It's so simple. We'd like it to be a Class G felony, so even solicitation would still be a felony. I could use your help with that. It's so easy if lots of you do it. And the last thing is about badges. I mentioned badges a minute ago.
Right here in Halifax.
If you know any badges who care about vote fraud, we need to get to prosecutors. We need to get those DAs to start prosecuting the cases we have. Now, what I have there's a booth back there. You can get your sticker. The first one's free, as I said. You can work your way into one of these volunteer badges. We don't just give them away. You have to, kind of like a merit badge in scouting. You have to earn the badge. We're all a bunch of volunteers, so we work for silly things like badges and stickers and stuff. But we could really use your help with that. And let's see, I got people back at that table. Also, one other thing. Actually, I'm sorry, 2. And then, well, there's no hook. So anyway, we have some documents back there. One of them is our 10 legislative issues we'd like to see raised and solved by the legislature during this session. And if you could take a look at that, pick it up. We got them printed off back there. If you could take a copy of that, review it, and maybe call your local legislator and ask them to consider some of these, and senators too, state senators and state reps. We need either one of them or both to introduce them. There are some good bills that are already in the works that we're very happy to see along the way. House Bill 29, I think it's Senate Bill 60. It's going to solve this problem because with the judges, with the non-citizens, after we did what we did and found them, the courts reinterpreted the law and said we couldn't have that data anymore. And so we couldn't sue the courts, but we could get the law changed, or we could at least try it. And it's taken us 6 years, and we think this time it might happen where we can actually get that law changed. It's in the Senate and it's in the House, and we're hoping that it'll make it all the way through. But there's other great bills. Representative Speciale is running some bills on behalf of voter integrity or election integrity. He's got a whole bunch of them he's running, so we're very happy with that. But take a look at our legislative agenda, and if you like any of them, call your legislator and say, hey, would you please consider these, and let them know that you want this. I am your constituent. I want you to consider this bill. And that really helps. It's far more powerful than Jay Delancy in Raleigh calling them saying, hey, how come you're not doing this? They go, who are you? And they hang up the phone, or they could. The other item is something, usually when I go to these kinds of events, I see people who come and tell me amazing stories they've seen at the polls. Have any of you been observers at the polls or workers at the polls? Okay, well, thank you for your service. We need a lot more people like you guys, because this is it. You know, if you think just because Trump won and is in the White House, that vote fraud is going away, well, I need to burst your bubble. It'll only go away when you are there watching to make sure they don't get away with it. That's how it works in our country, that's the way it was designed. If nobody is watching, the other side gets away with anything they want. It's kind of like that tree falling in the woods, you know. If someone commits a crime and nobody prosecutes it, then the crime didn't happen now, did it? And that's been the way they've approached this for so long. So I really want to encourage you to take a look. It's a volunteer sheet, but also we have something that's called an incident report. It's on a clipboard back there. And if you've seen anything that you'd like us to look at more, I mean things like if you get mail at your house that's from the Board of Elections to someone who doesn't live at your house, I need to know that. I need you to take a picture of that envelope and call me. That's evidence right there that fraud happened at your address. Somebody used your address. And so there's so much more you can do. Also, if you have parents in a nursing home or anyone who's declared mentally incompetent, you know, someone who autistic or something like that in your family, watch out. Those people are subject to having their votes stolen by activists. And believe me, it happens. We've documented on our website, voterintegrityproject.com. It does happen, has happened, will continue to happen. And getting that law changed is going to be very tough because it will take a constitutional amendment. We're not saying we're not doing it, but it's going to take a while. So normally, I turn it over for questions. I don't know if that'll work here. But anyway, Kim, I know, I'm that rare speaker who says, I'm done, thank you. They told me 7 to 10 minutes.
We were listening, thank you.
Do you have any questions? Do I have any questions? Anyone? Don't want to miss this opportunity. Okay. Will you be around here for a little bit?
I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back at that booth back there. If you have any questions for the group, we have a mobile mic though. That's why, hey, this could work.
Yeah. There is in the back, you see the voter integrity booth toward the back? You can go there. Jay's going to hang out back there and you can ask him. But if you have anything that you think we could benefit from your asking, I want to give you that opportunity. I'll bring the mic to you. Hold on.
We might need these mics back. You read my mind. Very good. A true professional.
Hey. Oh, my name's Derek.
Hey, Derek.
What is the main things that you want us to watch out for as observers at the polls?
As observers on election day, a lot of times just being there, the crime you don't see is that somebody, if you stay there long, like more than just 4 hours, the crime you will not see is somebody returning over and over again. We've got numerous reports of people who come, they vote, and they come back later and vote again. And these ladies who work the polls will tell you there is no recourse. There's nothing they can do. If that voter comes in with a different name, there's nothing they can do. Their hands are tied. And so this voter gets to go in and vote. And so what happens if there's observers standing there who are watching? You can't take pictures. That would be against the law. Besides, it might prove it. So you can't, there's, all you have is an eyewitness account. We will have those incident reports. If you go through our training, we will have incident reports for you to use that you can document it, which is better than nothing. And in California, they actually got so many of these that the U.S. Civil Rights Commission was interested in it, because these observers, this is the front line, and the way our laws are rigged, designed, but enough about the Jim Crow South. The way the Democrats rigged it in North Carolina for over 100 years was so that vote fraud is undetectable unless there's observers in the polls watching. Oh, we think we've got a lady right here with them.
Oh, wait.
Hold it. I can't hear you.
They start to put them on the observers. Yes, in the prisons and everything.
Well, the observers, you only get observers if you get volunteers who will work it. And you have to, unfortunately, in North Carolina, there are no independent observers. You're either a Republican observer or a Democrat observer. So you have to work through your party to nag them to run an observer training, and it takes some work to get that done. Maybe you're the one to volunteer and set up one of those Genie sites. I've forgotten what they call it, where you volunteer. You can have people sign up Genie, I think it is, and you can start getting the observers together, and we can train them, and I'm sure the party will train them. If you bring the volunteers, they will be happy to train them. Anybody else?
Jay, do you remember when I was standing out at, I was down by the election board and just standing there, and I was doing nothing more than passing out the flyers, the vote, right? And that lady came up to me and she says, "Who's a Republican here?" And it was so funny. I had been talking to two Democrats doing the same thing, and the three of us were standing there, and when this woman came and was in my face, "Who's a Republican here?" Both those ladies took one step forward or backwards, and I'm standing right there, and I go, "I guess that would be me." And she said that she had gone in, and she was was she an independent? Yeah, she had gone in, but she wanted to vote for the Republican ticket and was not given that option. And who would she have asked if I hadn't been there? And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know who to call either. And between chasing down a couple of my friends, I didn't know Jay. And let me tell you, I met him that day and then ended up following him around, and his passion is contagious. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
How are we doing out there? What a great opportunity to get some information to take back with you. And that's what you need to do. You know, we seem like we're a small crowd, but see, you all, do you realize that each of you knows 6 people that you can take this information? So all we're doing is we're giving you real news, real information for you to take back and help empower those around you. And you start, it's all relational, people. It's all relational. And people want the freedom of America. They just don't know how to keep the freedom. Today, you are learning that. Our next speaker doesn't even know this. But the women that have mentored me over the last 8 years hold her in such a high regard. 8 years ago, I was walking through the legislative building, and they peeked in they were peeking in, and they were showing me different offices, and this woman sat, and in her stature and all her knowledge, and she rose and was so tenderly compassionate, welcoming to us, and then like a light switch went right back to business. Today, I introduce to you Marilyn. Is a longtime conservative leader in Wake County in North Carolina. Most recently, as a member of the General Assembly from District 40 in Wake County. Before she was Wake County Republican Party chair, she worked with John Locke Foundation and the Civitas, and has battling the left for years. Today, she is a candidate for the NCGOP Congressional District 2 chair, where she hopes to help lead our state party to victory these next couple of years. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Marilyn Avila.
Well, good afternoon, all y'all deplorables. Glad to have you here. I want to thank all of you so much for taking the time to come out to show your support for our leadership in this country. Before I can tell you about me, I want to say something to you. I've been in politics going on 20 years, and I don't know that at any time have I ever been as excited, as inspired, but more importantly, more hopeful for our country because of what you and your compatriots did in 2016, and I thank you. Thank you. Probably, like many of you, you got into politics because you were mad. You don't go into it smiling and laughing. You want to tear somebody's head off because you don't like what's happening. And that was how I began. Like a lot of people, in Wake County, my motivating force was the Wake County School Board, and was very, very unhappy when our children started school and things that were going on. And I've never been quiet. And unfortunately, the only person I was shooting my mouth off to at the time was my husband. And after a short period of time, he made the demand that I either shut up or do something because he was tired of listening to it. So at that point in time, I entered politics, and it has been a phenomenal journey. I have met wonderful people, and I have seen things happen for our country that I didn't like, but more importantly, I've seen us change direction. We are changing direction. And I am so pleased with people who have stepped forward and put their time and energy, their money, taken away the time they could spend with families. I've seen it happen so much as a volunteer. And I started at the social level. I joined the women's club, and that was to acclimate myself to an environment I didn't know. I had always voted. I mean, I felt like I was committing a cardinal sin if I didn't go vote. But unfortunately, what I did prior to that vote was do a cram course in who was running, not really knowing who the people were, not really doing my homework on what the issues were, who I should support, and more importantly, what I should support. So through the club, I got acclimated to politics and fell in love with it, and then even more so when I got involved at the county level and ran through the entire gamut of leadership positions there, from chairing those grunt committees to raise money, to get out the vote, to hold candidate forums. I did them all, and moved through precinct level leadership, district level, and the county level, as they said before. And through that time, I saw our country unfortunately take a turn, because I came in to politics as Ronald Reagan was moving out. And over the next years in office and watching politics, I saw us drifting in a direction that very much upset me. But I've seen us wake up and change direction and begin to make a difference in what's going on. I was in politics for about 16 years when I was approached to run for office. And my first honest response was hysterical laughter, because I had 2 kids in college at the time and a full-time job. And I don't know if many of you know what the salary of legislators are, but believe me, I am not retiring to the Cancun or any major resort area in the future based on what I made in the General Assembly. And for 10 years, I worked across the way and loved every minute of it. And it was an experience that I think a lot of people don't give enough credit to the people who run for it, because you see today the time that Mark has taken here, Representative Brody, to come and be with you. This time he could have spent with his family. And these people come from all sides, northeast, south, and west of Raleigh, to serve us here in the Capitol. And it's one of those things where we always talk about what we want from our elected representatives.
Well, I'm here to tell you what they need from us. They need us to hang tough when we are demonized, when we are criticized, when we are made to look like the laughing stock of the country because of the positions that we take and the people that we support. Well, let me make you aware of a fact. This is not a one and done situation, and I'm living proof of it. November 8th, 2016, I lost my seat in probably it was the dirtiest, most negative, most expensive race I have ever run. And you have to understand, the other side doesn't like being out of power. And they're going to do anything, everything, and spend any amount of money necessary to get it back. And if we take the position that, oh, well, we've won, we can go home and sit on our laurels, we won't be there very long. You're going to have to, believe it or not, there's an election every year. Is that something somebody didn't know? It's either state, it's either federal, or it's either local. But there are elections every year. And because the people who get into those positions are so critical to your life, your safety, your children's education, your job, you have got to be involved and there for every one of them. Do what you can, and the time that you have to give. For some people, it's more than others. But when everybody gives a little, a lot gets done. One of the things that we have to do when we stand firm is find the truth. We know, and we've listened to so much of the misrepresentation, the twisting, and the flat out lies about what's going on. I'll give you an example. This shirt I'm wearing,
a little
America
out
First.
there, in my opinion.
Do you know people are criticizing us for that phrase? They're making us sound selfish, just looking out for our own good. Well, if you don't take care of your own family, how can you take care of anybody else's? So how can this country look out for the rest of the world if we're not taking care of ourselves, making ourselves strong and successful so we can share and gather the people around us? I love politics, and I've lost my seat in the General Assembly, but I'm going back to something that I have loved and will always stay involved with, and that's grassroots. Because I know, as someone who got them going as a party person to support other people's races, and then had the volunteers step forward for my own races over the years, we could not do it without you. No money in biggest piles possible could do it without the people behind us working on our behalf. And as Kim had mentioned, I'm going to be working in the 2nd Congressional District hopefully as their chair. I'm running for that office. George Holding is a phenomenal representative, and he needs a good connection to the people back home so that we can filter out all the noise of what is actually going on in Washington, to set up a communication directly from him to his supporters and his constituents to let them know what is going on in Washington, so that when we hear this crazy stuff about, oh, they didn't pass this bill, or look what they did to this one, we know what the truth is, and we can stand firm and support our guys and keep them there for us. Again, I just want to thank all of you for the phenomenal work I know you've done, because I've walked in those shoes, and I've seen literally thousands of people who walked in those shoes too. We could not do it without you, and we cannot do it going forward without you. And you remember always that Ronald Reagan stressed that we were only one generation from losing our freedom. So please, let's hold on to it to pass it on to the next generation. Thank you.
Taylor, come help me.
Would you pass these out for me? Just walk up and down and see if anybody wants a sticker.
I want a sticker.
Man, it's good to have young people around. Huh.
The wind is blowing my nose. Our next speaker, Mr. David, was a helicopter gunship pilot during the Vietnam conflict. He joined the service at the age of 19 with the help of his congressman. David was awarded a Silver Star for gallantry in action against the hostile force, the nation's third highest award for gallantry, along with other awards. He was wounded in action and flew over 300 combat missions. He lives in Raleigh with his wife Elizabeth, and as a chief judge at his local precinct, David is currently a financial advisor with his own firm. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. David Samuels.
Thank you all for being here. We were hoping to have a lot more, but this is a good start and we'll take it. My name is David Samuels. I live in Raleigh, and I'm very proud to be here as to endorse and support our new president, Donald J. Trump.
They're all here. They're over there. There's probably 30 or so.
Remember one thing today, that good people
sticker kid.
Bring out the good in people. A little walk down military history. In the 1930s, a worldwide threat was born and existed. In 1941, our sovereign territory, our sovereign United States territory was attacked by a hostile force.
Yeah, I got you one.
Washington and the greatest generation met that force, committed hundreds of thousands, millions of Americans to beat it and eradicate it, and 4 years later, that threat was gone. Hundreds of thousands of Americans were killed and wounded. The mission was accomplished. A few military leaders, like General George Patton, wanted to continue the fight and get rid of communism at the time. Washington said, no, we're tired, we want to go home now. As a result, Russia grew, communism grew, the nuclear era started, and the Cold War lasted for another 50 years. In 1963, Washington and our president decided to send some American troops to South Vietnam to help them defend themselves against communism. We spent 10 years in Vietnam. When I got off the plane in Saigon, there were 525,000 Americans, boots on the ground in Vietnam. We flew combat missions every day trying to help these people that wanted to stay democratic, wanted democracy from communism. 10 years later, our president decided, 4 presidents were involved, that they were done and took the troops home. Within 2 years, the South Vietnamese were defeated by the communists, and today they're still communist. The cost to us, 58,200 men killed and over 300,000 wounded. Folks, we can't do this. We cannot send our military into harm's way and then bring them home without the mission being accomplished. Our new president, Donald Trump, said he will not do that. He will keep our forces where they are until they're committed and he's ready to accomplish the mission. In 1990, our then president decided to send American troops into harm's way in the Middle East. They made a force of over 500,000 worldwide troops, and they beat the aggressor temporarily. 279 killed, 400 and some wounded. They only accomplished part of the mission and then took the troops back home again. In 1993, we again sent troops to Somalia on a mission to fight terrorism. In October of '93, that mission was evolved into a rescue mission for Black Hawk Down. 19 Americans killed, 76 wounded. 1 week later, President Clinton said, "We don't want to do this, bring the troops home." Folks, we can't do this. Donald Trump said he is not going to do it. In 2000, we sent troops back to the Middle East to finish up what they started 10 years earlier. They stayed in Iraq for 10 years, another 2,300 dead, and many 20,000 wounded. They left Iraq without accomplishing the mission, but they left Iraq in disarray. We sent troops to Afghanistan to fight the war in terrorism after 9/11. More men were killed, more men were wounded, and we brought them home. Our President Donald Trump said he will not do that. Folks, we cannot let this country send our men into harm's way without completing the mission. What we did do was we created an atmosphere that ISIS was born. ISIS is now a world threat, creating a huge refugee problem in the world. Our new president, Donald Trump, said he's going to take care of ISIS. He's going to eliminate that threat from the face of the earth. But he's not going to tell them on what day, and he's not going to tell them from what direction. He's going to get rid of them, and he's also going to get rid of the refugee problem that is tormenting the free world. After World War II, most of Europe was devastated, was destroyed. We saw pictures of the Germans the displaced refugee Germans coming back into their country, back into Berlin, picking up the rocks and rebuilding their country. They wanted their country rebuilt. Let's see how many of these refugees, after ISIS is gone, want to go back to their own home and rebuild their own country. How many of us are tired of hearing about illegal aliens and illegal immigrants? We like aliens. They're cute. We like immigrants. Some of them become very hard workers and very good American citizens. What we don't like is the word illegal. Most of our ancestors are immigrants. We all came from the same place or different places to make this a great country. If any of us, you were guilty of something illegal, we would be held accountable. They should be also, regardless of how long ago it was. Donald Trump said he's going to help us with this. He's going to protect our borders and make the illegal problem go away. When you go home tonight, at the end of the day, you're going to, before you go to bed, the last thing you do is walk around your house and lock your doors. Do you do that because you hate your neighbors? Or you hate the people outside? No, you do it because you love the people inside. And that's what we want for our borders. When we do something, we want to take the time and the money to do it right the first time. Because if we don't, we have to find the time and the money to do it again, and we don't want to do that. Remember, good people bring out the good in people. I am a precinct chief judge at my local precinct, and where I agree that there is voter fraud going on, and I totally agree that voter ID is required. We need to show ID for so many other insignificant reasons. We should have to show them to vote. Being a chief judge, I am in charge of my precinct, 3,300 registered voters, and we work on election day from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. We cannot leave. And the training we have allows us to monitor all that goes on in that voter precinct. We have voter registries of every name and address of someone, of anyone that is registered in that precinct. It's our job to make sure that they vote properly. If I see as chief judge some irregularity, like somebody coming in for a second time, a second vote on the same day, I can challenge him. I can force him to vote provisional, and then it's up to the other judges to decide whether that vote is going to be counted or not. With education and with the volunteers, we can eradicate voter fraud. We can do it. We need it with education, we need it with volunteers. It's not going to happen by itself. I'm very glad that you are here. I am proud to be here. I am a proud Trump supporter, Raleigh native, Vietnam veteran, and thank you all for coming.
Sorry. I got a little excited. There was a bee. I want to make you all known. Hey, Donna Byers, are you in the house? Can you wave at me? Back here, Donna has t-shirts for sale, and so you can go back there and visit her. She got the balloons because she didn't think you'd notice her. But I was told to make sure that you all went back. At least, you know what? Go back and see. We've got holidays coming up and Father's Day, and these would be great teachers' gifts. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Also, I want to thank these fine men and women walking around the perimeter. Thank them for their support. Would you join with me? Thank you.
Wherever they are. Oh, they're over there.
And we want you all to get involved. Don't just take what you have heard and seen here today and keep it to yourself. We need you to get involved in the local clubs and groups. And there's something for everyone. Where's Liam? Liam, can you wave at me? There he is. Liam is here with 2,000 Bikers for Trump group. 2 million? See, I always have some, see, you know, he's a typical man. It's 2 inches, right? And the fish got this big. But listen, had you all been here earlier, you would have heard all these Harleys rolling in. And boy, I tell you, there's something masculine about a bunch of men on their Harleys. Thank you for being here, guys. Next time, I'm going to roll in on my Harley. Oh, I'm not kidding. I'm a biker for Trump, too. Our next guest, Mel, is a retired Army major. Are you coming to threaten me? Really? Where is she? 2 million bikers for Trump, and the president? 2 million bikers, and the president is a woman? Woo! Check! Check you out. Come shake my hand. Come on. Now this is what feminism looks like, ladies and gentlemen. What's your name? Latney? Latney. Can you say hello to these people for me? Hi, Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you. Thank you very much. We are here on behalf of 2 million bikers for North Carolina, but 2 million bikers DC. We are proud to be here. Please visit our website. Join us. We need more riders, and yes, we'd like to have you join us. So that rumble's not just from a bunch of men. That rumble is from women as well. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here. And that's how we get it done. That's what feminism looks like. That's right. I met this gentleman last time at the Trump rally right here in the Halifax Mall, and man, what a presence Mel has. I have since then sat under some of his strategical teaching, and the guy is pumped up. Mel is a retired Army major. He is certified as a strategist, military intelligence officer, chemical warfare specialist. He's counterintelligence special agent and counterterrorism intelligence for combating terrorism. Say that 3 times fast. Man, this guy's strong. Specialist. After his recent retirement, Mel has gotten involved with Wake County Republican Party as a leading engagement task force focusing on reaching out non-traditional individuals and groups who share our values but haven't yet joined the team. Many of us at Wake County GOP feel Mel is the future of our party, and let me tell you, you will too. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Mel Hempstead.
Hello everyone, good morning. It's nice to see everyone out here today, and after 28 years in the military, having been to about 13 different countries, I had an opportunity to come back and just kind of sit down. I retired out of Germany, Deutschland, and Germany is German. You go to Germany, you want to immigrate, in 2 years you better learn the language or you're leaving. They don't play, they don't illegal immigration, they don't entertain it. You're there because they want you to be there and you can contribute. So what does every American want here in America? They want 3 basic things. These things can make a family work. If you break it, it can destroy a country, it can destroy a community, it can destroy a family. And what you need are the 3 things: safety, security, and opportunity. Now, I was embedded with the Afghans, and that's the things that we were trying to provide for them, with safety and security for their community. But do we have it for our communities? Do we have the safety and security? I would put out, from colonels all the way down, walking the streets of Afghanistan to keep their people safe. Why do we have communities in our country where it's just as bad as Kabul, Afghanistan? I look at Chicago, I look at Los Angeles, Crips, Bloods, Black Guerrilla Family, Mexican Mafia, whatever's there, it's allowed to be there, and typically those cities are ran by Democrats. We start asking these questions: why are these things happening? So for me, as an intelligence officer, I look beyond what I see, the smoke and the mirrors. I look behind where the power is and where the money's located, because that's where you're going to find out the true answers. So let's look at safety. Every American here deserves a right at any time of day to walk down the street and not have to worry about being accosted by anybody else. I was stationed at McGill Air Force Base here in Washington, D.C. at the Defense Intelligence Agency. My wife could get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and on that base could walk anywhere she wanted to with no fear of anything happening on that base. Can you do it in Raleigh? Can you do it in Durham? Can you do it in Chicago? Probably not. There's a problem that we have here in America. Let's look at security. Free from unreasonable searches and seizures. We should be able to walk down the street with the things we have and be comfortable in our person. We don't have to worry about, look at the law enforcement officials here, everyone in uniform, everyone doing the right thing. If you're not doing the right thing, is it really their problem that they come up and ask you who you are? What are you doing here at 1 o'clock in the morning walking the streets? I would be interested. Maybe you're lost. Maybe you're inebriated. Maybe you need some help. A simple question is never violating your right to privacy. Let's look at opportunity. As Americans, we should have a right for our children to be educated at school and not get an education we don't want them to have, going to the bathroom. Or going to play football. Or going to play baseball. Or just going after school to play guitar with their friends. Should I have to worry about being in a mall and hearing someone yell something that I would normally hear in Afghanistan and reach for my weapon, but I don't have a weapon? I'm hoping that I shouldn't have to worry about hearing that sitting in a shopping mall with someone dressed up as a security guard pulling out a knife attacking people. I shouldn't have to hear that. And after 28 years, I don't hear that, because when I look and I see people and you're a threat, I give you an eye-to-eye look. I'm not going to turn my head. I don't care you get uncomfortable. I'm going to look at you because I want you to know I see you. If you're okay, that's fine. If you're not, I will meet you. I don't have a problem with that either. So our kids should be able to go in our communities, not have to worry about gangs, drugs, violence. I look right over here, there's a couple of community organizations trying to help the people at risk and people in lower economic communities. Why should we have that in America? Again, I'm in Afghanistan. We're building places for Afghanis to go ahead and get together and have fun together. Why don't we have those type of places here in America? Where we can sit down and we can talk. I don't need anyone to love me or like me. I just need you to respect me as I respect you, and you have the right to walk around here as you see fit without worrying about someone coming up and making you feel uncomfortable in your own country. That shouldn't happen. So as we start looking around and we start looking at where can you make a change, you're here. The changes happen at the city level. City and the county, that's where the money's made. That's where the Democrats have the leverage. That's where we need to make a difference. I'm going to give you 3 cities: New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago. All ran by Democrats.
So I can get it. Is that? I mean, I don't even. It's live stream.
Do I need to say any more?
Yeah, that's awesome.
We look at San Diego, California, Jacksonville, Florida, Fort Worth, Texas.
I can hold it.
Top 3 Republican cities in Republican hands. I have no problem going there and enjoying myself. Having lived in Los Angeles, having done different things in Chicago, I would not have my family living in those places. We moved here to North Carolina because North Carolina, one, I do a lot of things down at Fort Bragg. I have a lot of friends down there I still do business with. They still want me to go do some things, but I'm retired now. I've done enough for God and country, but I still go down and meet with my friends to give them as much information as I can because they're still in the fight. When you start looking at Special Operations Command, there are people right now on the side of a hill drinking warm water, eating MREs, making sure that you're safe here right now. And some won't come back. So let's make sure that they're doing it not for someone who shouldn't be here, but for the people who should be here and are appreciated by the people who are here. I want to thank you for your time. I'm an old major. I try to follow the 3 B principles. I try to be brief, I try to be brilliant, and I try to be calm.
It's fine.
So I just want to wrap it up by saying thank you for being the type of Americans who will come here and let yourself be heard and your position known. We all need to do that and hold people accountable. Thank you.
So you all be looking for those task force because we're coming after you to empower you. I am part of it here in Wake County because I want to know. I want to know how to bridge the gap. We're a community of thinkers and problem solvers. So look for that. Don't pass up the opportunity. We'll put something in your engine and give you a way to just start and plow through. Our next speaker, hold on, I'm going to get my notes. Our next speaker, he'll surprise you. Last time he spoke here at the March 4th rally, he came off the stage and everybody wanted to see his ID. You see, Connor is a junior at West Forsyth Clemens High School. Yeah. He is also the Clemens Teen Republican Chair. He is Grassroots Coordinator with the NC Republican and the 2016 election. He is a strong activist against Obamacare, gun control, and abortion. Did I mention he's a junior in high school? Ladies and gentlemen, you keep your ears open and your eye on this kid because he's going somewhere. May I present to you the man, Mr. Connor Groce.
Patriots, can you hear me? I can hear you. My notes are upside down. That's a problem. Yeah, well, that's a senior course. What an honor it is to be here today supporting our country's movement to make America great again. You know, this past November, the American people faced what Ronald Reagan would call a time for choosing. The citizens of this great country had to choose not just between two candidates or two parties, but between two very different plans for America. We had to choose if we wanted to continue down the path of increasing the power of the federal government and its overreach into the lives of citizens. We had to choose if we wanted to continue the erosion of the Constitution and the idea of a constitutionally limited government. And we had to choose if we wanted more of the problem. And that problem being the Washington insiders that will say anything and change nothing. The American people have spoken, and our answer is no. Enough is enough. We are tired of being let down time and time again by members of both parties who fail to deliver. We, the people, are sick and tired of the political establishment, and we have created a mandate for change in this country. Now, nearly 9 years ago, Barack Obama stood right here in this mall in front of thousands of supporters to whom he made the famous promise, if you like your plan, if you like your doctor, you can keep it. He made the promise that his plan of government control of our healthcare system was the way to drive down cost and drive up quality. Well, today we stand here in this very spot with the advantage of hindsight. We've seen what Obamacare does to families in this country. We've seen the destructive regulation pressure it puts on small businesses, stagnating our economy and job growth. We've seen the rising cost of health care that strictly defies the objective of the policy in the first place. And we know that Obamacare is not right for this country. And the repealing of Obamacare has been one of the top priorities of voters nationwide for over 7 years now. And one step at a time, the American people have put Republicans in a position to fix this problem. And it's time to finally get the job done and ensure that Obamacare is repealed, not renamed. Now is the time for courageous conservatives all across the country to rise and recognize the statement that the American people have made and put an end to Obamacare once and for all. After 7 years of this disastrous policy and the increase in premiums and decline in quality that came with it, it is clear that the federal government is the problem, not the solution. Former President Obama himself once said, "Consumers have it best when there is competition and there is choice." And while that statement strictly contradicts the healthcare policies he enacted during his presidency, he was absolutely right. And we can stimulate competition between insurance companies and provide choice to American consumers by opening up the healthcare market and allowing the American people to purchase healthcare across state lines. Right here in North Carolina, that would increase our choices from 1 to nearly 300. This competition and choice drives down the cost of insurance and increases the quality of coverage for all Americans. Yet the Democrats will still tell you that it's bad for the country and that Republicans are denying Americans their right to health care, when they are the ones being bankrolled by the very insurance companies making billions off of these policies while it ruins the lives of some unfortunate Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, I am appalled that we have to stand here and beg the federal government for the right to buy health care from South Carolina. And the fact that the federal government has seized so much control over something that is not even mentioned in the Constitution is appalling in and of itself. Obamacare has done its fair share of damage, and so have the members of Congress that refuse to stand up to it. Enough is enough, and we, the people, want change. Now, President Trump did take an important step a few weeks ago towards keeping one of his promises to the American people. If you recall, he made the offer to Planned Parenthood that they can keep their $500 million in federal funding if they don't use it for abortions. And it didn't take them very long to decline what I thought, from my perspective, was a very generous offer. We've heard this lie from the left for years. We need Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood isn't about abortion. Ladies and gentlemen, if Planned Parenthood was not about abortion, they wouldn't give up $500 million to continue to perform them. We've also heard the lie that Republicans are against women's health because we are pro-life. That is pure political garbage. President Trump offered to continue to fund Planned Parenthood if they would put the money towards women's health. And every Republican proposal defunding Planned Parenthood reallocates 100% of the funds to organizations whose motive is truly caring for American women.
Thank you.
These are just a few of the things we have been promised over the past few years. And I suspect that many people here today, including myself, we've pounded the pavement knocking doors. We've made phone calls. We've stuffed envelopes. We've done everything we can to elect Republicans to public office. If you recall, in 2010, I was 10 years old, I remember it. Republicans told the American people, if only you give us the House. And we did. In 2014, Republicans told the American people, if only you give us the Senate. And we did. And in 2016, Republicans told the American people, if only you give us the White House, and by golly, we did. We have stood with Republicans, and it's time for Republicans in Congress to honor the commitments to the people who elected them and fulfill the promises they made to the American people. It's important to recognize that simply electing Donald Trump did not automatically make America great again, although it's pretty darn exciting, I have to admit. In addition, in order to make America great again, we have to fundamentally change the objective of the Republican Party and ensure that the folks in D.C., with R's by their name, truly do stand on the conservative principles outlined in our party's platform. The election of President Trump wasn't the victory of our fight to reclaim our country. It just gave us the opportunity to fight to reclaim our country. Earning that victory in every respect now lies in the hands of our president, all other elected officials, and us, the American people, collectively. And this is a great turnout for this event here today, and that is fantastic. But it's one thing to stand quietly on the sidelines. It's another to contact your congressmen and contact your U.S. senators and tell them that the time for excuses is over. We want to hear that Obamacare has been repealed. We want to hear that Planned Parenthood has been defunded. We want to hear that Neil Gorsuch has been confirmed to the Supreme Court. We want to hear that Congress is doing exactly what they said they were going to do. This is our fight. And a prosperous and free nation for generations to come is the victory. Your kids and your grandkids and my kids and my grandkids are the ones that will inherit the consequences of the extent to which our movement is able to prevail in the coming years. And as President Ronald Reagan once said, freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and defended, and passed on for that generation to do the same, because freedom only comes once to a people. That is why we are here today. That is what we are fighting for. And that is how together we are going to make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you all very much, and God bless America.
These people to see. Pull out your ID. Jay, I'm checking his ID because I know these people won't believe he's only 17.
Oh my God! God bless you.
I know. You can look for him. One of these days, he'll be on the ballot. Don't you hope so?
I expect everybody's votes here.
That's right. Good. That's it. And that's exactly how you promote them. Huh? See? 20. That's it. And what is your name? Huh? Kirby. Kobe? Kobe. Kirby? Kirby?
George.
Colby.
This one.
Thank
That's
you,
good.
Colby.
Oh, you're
I'm
fine.
hearing all these different dialects, and with the wind blowing, I apologize. Would you stand and let us recognize you, Mr. Millennialist? And this was the first time you voted? Yes. And what county are you in? You have a very strong woman behind you, don't you?
You're a damn good speaker.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for recording. Not a problem. I'm over in Walnut Cove, so.
What?
Are you ready? Yep. Thank you, sir. Yep.
Women! Yes. See, she's making sure I got that right. She's being very distinct in her conversation. Yeah, Alamance County. Thank you for representing. What other counties do we have here? Got Durham? Hey! Wayne County! Huh? Nash! We got Nash County! Onslow? Wow! Onslow County. Huh? Orange County? I said, I can see your elephant earrings from here. Yes, you can wear them freely here, girlfriend. Randolph County. Chatham. Chatham's here. I have Davidson County and Franklin County. I have Cumberland County and Kinston. Huh? Nash, I got Nash. Lee County. I got Guilford County. Good. Okay, do you see we are really North Carolinians standing here today? Yes. Huh? Did anybody come from another state? Oh, look, I got you. Where are y'all from? Oh, originally? Well, listen, once you're here, we got to keep you. You're now North Carolinians. Yeah, we don't let you go. Yeah, we hold tight. Anyone else? Miami? Woohoo! There's some sunshine there. Well, my next guest really doesn't need an introduction. I met Roger, and he is, well, you'll see, he just kind of takes over, has no fear of man at all. Matter of fact, I was invited to go to the inauguration, but my tickets had already gone inside the mall, and I was stuck at the gate. And they were trying to figure out how they could get back out because they had closed off the inner circle. And my tickets were stuck inside, and for them to get out to me, they might not be able to get back into their group. And so I'm standing at the gate, and they weren't the pearly gates, and I'm standing at the gate and not able to get in, and it's damp and overcast and misting. And Roger walks up and he goes, "What are you doing out here?" And I said, "I'm waiting to see if I can get a ticket. Friends are coming this way. I'm going to see." And he turns around and he goes, "Well, I have one. Here, come on, let's go." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, Roger. I've got my son, my 19-year-old, and he traveled all this way with me on the bus. I got to get a ticket for him." And so Roger goes, in this sea of people coming at us, "Who's got a ticket? Do you have a ticket? I need an extra ticket. And who's going to give me a ticket?" And like an auctioneer, he is looking for a ticket, and people are handing him these tickets. And so we did. We went in. And God made a way where there seemed to be no way. He provided a Roger to get me a ticket. And I walked in and was able to be inside during the inauguration on the field. And if you're looking for me, you can go back and you can look. And I am just left to one of the trees behind the porta potties. That's where I was. Yeah. If you find it, will you send me a copy? I'm still looking for that picture. But Roger, my friend, hold on, Roger, because I'm going to read now what they told me to say about you, because it's better. Roger is a disabled combat veteran after serving 20 years in the U.S. Army as an attack helicopter pilot. As a kid, he was the president of the East Meadow Republican Club. In the 1930s, his great-grandfather became a charter member of this very organization. His great-grandfather, who came to the States from Italy, was always a Republican. As the fourth-generation Republican, his loyalty runs deep. Roger is currently second vice chair of Harnett County GOP. Married for 18 years to a public school teacher, and his 3 daughters are all part of Harnett County, the Harnett County School District, where he serves as a county board member. Dedication and loyalty are in his blood, which has proven when he was awarded the National Hockey League Fan of the Year Award. Roger is a candidate for the NCGOP 2nd Congressional District Vice Chair, which you just, okay. And so he is also running for the Congressional District Vice Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Roger Farina.
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Farina, and I support Donald Trump. I'm a retired helicopter pilot. I spent 20 years in the service. I've traveled to 60 countries. I've visited almost every tourist spot on the planet, from the Great Wall to the Great Barrier Reef. I've seen and experienced a great many things. My travels with the Army have led me to Korea, where I met my Canadian wife. We married in Guam. My 2 oldest daughters were born in Germany. My youngest is my Dixie chick, born here in North Carolina at Womack Army Hospital on Fort Bragg. Me being from New York, I am one of those Yankees. You know, those Yankees that came down here and stayed, you know? But home is, after all, where the Army sends you, you know? As a 4th-generation Republican, conservatism is in my blood. This past year, I was chosen as an alternate delegate to go to the GOP National Convention. I went to Cleveland, and all I got was this T-shirt, or this golf shirt, and a great present. As I mentioned, I grew up on Long Island in the shadows of New York City. As a kid growing up on Long Island, not far from Manhattan, I had an opportunity to watch as Donald Trump grew his incredible business. My family, as Kim mentioned, got off the boat from Italy, eventually moved out to Long Island, where they owned a farm, land, and a nursery. Remember, we're talking the 1930s here, so, you know, there was a lot of farmland back then. Donald Trump grew up a mere 20 minutes from where I did. While my family was running the farm and nursery, his family was running a grocery store and building affordable housing in Queens at about a few $1,000s a pop. I came this close to being a billionaire. When I was a kid in the early 80s, my hometown team, the New York Islanders, won the Stanley Cup championships 4 years in a row. But I will say, go Canes. Go Canes. Excuse me, sorry, no, I'm sorry. Back then, ice hockey rinks and ice hockey was a big deal in New York City. It was really popular at that time. One of the hot issues at that time, and it was in the news, was New York City's Woolman ice skating rink in Central Park. It was $13 million over budget, 6 years late, and riddled with corruption. Donald Trump volunteered, and he asked the mayor if he could take over the project. The total cost of his renovations when he took over came in at $2.25 million under budget, and he finished the project 2 months ahead of schedule. That's our president right there. Listen to me. Ed Koch, the mayor of New York, the guy who once reclined his airline seat into my mom's knees so much that they bled, was embarrassed, and I was on the hook. I was hooked on Donald Trump at that point. People looked up to this man without wavering. They wanted to become part of his team. He was, after all, living the American dream. Nowadays, all you hear in the media is how disrespectful this man is. He said this about that group, that about this group. Goodness gracious, this man can do no good. However, in my eyes, he is keeping his promises. For some reason, they always seem to focus on every single word he says and not on his actions. I mean, watching him yesterday, right, when he, after whatever, that whole thing yesterday, watching him yesterday, showing that humility in the Oval Office, behind that desk, in the wake of that GOP failure in Congress yesterday. I mean, how presidential was he? It was incredible. 7 years we waited for yesterday. For what? Anyway, one of these groups that I mentioned that they said he's disrespected is the military and veterans. I would forget a second about Task Force Dagger and Racing for Heroes, both of which received thousands of dollars from the Trump Foundation. Operation Recovery, Rehabilitate, and Reintegrate will be having a rally on May 6th at the airplane hangar in Statesville Airport. Go to taskforcedagger.org. I promised a friend of mine that I would plug that for him. Taskforcedagger.org, May 6th. Anyway, forget about The Apprentice, where he raised millions for veterans organizations. Okay, all those celebrities there, some of them chose veterans organizations, like the Boot Campaign. Several $1 million was raised from them. Forget about how he honored that Navy SEAL the night he spoke at joint session of Congress. Forget about the $54 billion he announced that he was going to be pumping back into the military. Instead, for a second, I want to focus on a small act of respect that he does every so often. It is mostly seen when he's boarding Air Force One or Marine One. His rendering the proper military courtesy, or in this instance, the hand salute. Having been a warrant officer in the U.S. Army for 20 years, I respect the meaning of the salute. Moreover, what the rendering of that salute entails. Respect for our flag, respect for our anthem, respect for each other, respect for our fallen comrades, and respect for our country. General Q. Drum states, the courtesy of the salute is incumbent on all military personnel, whether in garrison or in public places, in uniform or civilian clothes. The exchange of salutes in public places impresses the public without professional sincerity and stamps officers and enlisted men as members of the governmental instrumentality, which ensures law and order and the preservation of the nation. A powerful statement from the namesake of Fort Drum Army Base in New York. Now let me share with you a couple of lines from out of the military regulations. The origin of the military salute is uncertain, but it probably began as a gesture of trust to show that a person was not holding a weapon. Some historians believe saluting began in Roman times when assassinations were common. A citizen who wanted to see a public official had to approach with his right hand raised to show that he did not hold a weapon. Knights in armor raised their visors with the right hand when meeting other knights. This gradually became a way of showing respect, and in early American history sometimes involved removing the hat. By 1820, the motion had become touching the hat, and since then the gesture has evolved into the hand salute used in the military today. All right, let's talk about a couple of salute examples. You know, I think of the Dennis Miller. You know what Dennis Miller does that on O'Reilly, does that thing like this, right? There's Howie Mandel when he signs off, let's make a deal, or deal or no deal, or he does that thing with the Z.
Prostitutes for sure.
Then there's the what I call the Starbucks salute. You know, did you get to see this one? Did you see this on social media? How about how that Marine One pilot made the president go back and re-salute that Marine standing at the bottom of the stairs? These are examples of salutes, but let me describe to you what a proper military courtesy salute really is. Have you seen the movie Scent of a Woman? Okay. Picture Al Pacino's Colonel Slade correcting Chris O'Donnell's Charlie in the famous movie scene. He says, next time, snap it out. Thump the palm, index finger through little digit, smartly aligned. Sharp to the hairline, down. Too many men, far better than you, have executed that courtesy. Hooah! Army Field Manual 3-21.5 describes a hand salute as a one-count movement. Raise the right hand sharply, fingers and thumb extended and joined, palm facing down. touch the tip of the right forefinger to the forehead, near and slightly to the right of the right eyebrow. Hooah! Saluting is a big deal to us in the military, is the ultimate sign of respect. Upon graduating from Warrant Officer School, I quickly learned the bond that saluting creates. In some way, I believe it to be a sign of the oath that I took to protect and defend the Constitution. As an officer, I remember my first salute on Fort Rucker, Alabama, and my last one right before the day that I retired from Fort Bragg. My opinion, our President Donald Trump gets this concept. I want you to do me a favor, and you may have even noticed this already. Pay attention to the way this man salutes, and he renders his courtesy. It's a deliberate act on his part. It's not in a hurry. It's not an afterthought. A true sign of respect to the service member at the bottom of those stairs, our military, his presidency, and our country. Now, I just want to, is there a Marine here? Any Marines? Come forward, Marine. Tyler, grab your mom's flag there, unfurl the flag. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Marine. Just right here. Stand in front of the flag. I'm gonna ask you to demonstrate. Okay, Marine, attention. Present arms. There you go. A great salute by this Marine. Semper Fi. Thank you, Marine. Thank you very much. Our president does that, and he does it, and that's why that it's that little thing that he does right there that I think he respects us. I have two more things to ask of you. One, who has read the book, The Art of the Deal? Okay? If you haven't read this book, all right, I was here and I asked you that on March 4th. Who was here on March 4th? Okay? Did you go read it? It was 3 weeks ago. Why not? You should have read it already. If you haven't, please go read it. You will find a much greater appreciation for this man that you already hold so dear. It's a roadmap of who Donald Trump is. It's all laid out there, plain as day, of how the president operates. One of my favorite parts of this book is when he speaks about the women in his life. From those he's placed in positions of power in his businesses to the adoration that he had for his mother. Someone who speaks like this about their mom is not one who the media, Ashley Judd or Madonna, claim him to be. Why don't you hear more about this side of our president? You just don't hear it. As you read this book, I challenge you, I don't want you to look at the title page. You're not allowed to double check the title page to see that this book was written in 1984. President Trump speaks the same values now as he did back then. In fact, as you read this book, you will read it in his voice. You will hear his manners and you'll hear his voice in your head. It's fascinating. Number two, let's talk grassroots. So you are here showing your support. You're proud. Some of you might be live streaming this event, bragging about being here to all your friends on social media. But where else would you be? State didn't even make the high school tournament this year, so you wouldn't be there. Go Duke? No? Tar Heels? Tar Heels? All right. I want you to let these people know that you're here. I want you to take that extra little pleasure, little pleasure to let those friends, those friends, to let them know you're here, that you're active, that you're not just sitting behind your keyboard. Are you live streaming now? You should be live streaming now. You should be taking pictures. You need to be doing this. You need to be sharing them. Show people we are here and how you and I support our president. I want you to spread a positive message. You've probably gone to countless Make America Great Again and Thank You Victory rallies here in North Carolina, from Charlotte to Raleigh to Fayetteville. You may have spent all last night arguing with one of your little snowflake friends as to why their point of view is disingenuous. As you break open their box of crayons to help them calm down, you take pride in knowing you're taking action by being here today instead of being a keyboard warrior like so many of those others. I'm proud of you for being here today. All right, so next year is the midterm elections. We have to take action now. You've heard a lot of these people that got up here talk about grassroots movement. They talked about getting involved in your precinct. Listen to me. When you ask, what can I do? I'm going to tell you, and you can tell 2 friends. You got it? We need to ensure that we give our president back the majority in the House and the Senate up in D.C. A majority in the House? Yeah, I just said that. After yesterday, I don't know. But I have to keep the faith with Paul Ryan. We also need to give our president the continued nationwide success, not just up in the Capitol building in D.C., but in the state houses and the state general assemblies across all 50 states. 33 Republican-controlled governorships, 32 Republican-controlled state legislatures, 25 of these states are Republican-controlled in the governorship and the state legislature. That's incredible. Incredible, the wave of conservatism that swept through this nation. It is that important. When you reach out on social media, you can affect a great many people across this country knowing what a great American and conservative you are. You say, yeah, this is next year, but why worry now? Right now, GOP organizations across the state, our state and country, are having their precinct, county, and district and state conventions. This is where the grassroots, the rubber meets the road. This is where you can start becoming involved. Wake County Convention here in Raleigh is on Tuesday night. Congressional District Number 2, George Holdings District, is in Knightdale on April 22nd. The North Carolina GOP State Convention is in Wilmington on June 22nd. You should be there. As this is an odd-numbered year, during these meetings, people will be campaigning to take the party leadership positions. These people will be in power, influencing how the party is run and how campaigns are accomplished and developed in the next few years. I support Donald Trump, and in my county's convention, I was elected as vice chair. I'm also running for the chair of District 2, like Marilyn Avila before me. She's running for chair. I want to make a difference in our party. Let me tell you for a second about the successes that we had in my local precinct down in Harnett County in regard to get out to vote. My little precinct is over yonder. See, I'm learning Southern, over yonder. I live between Sanford and Fort Bragg. No incorporated townships are in the area of the community that I live in. Get this, there are 2,700 voting precincts in North Carolina. My little precinct down there, placed in the top 10 overall in the entire state. We beat precincts in Mecklenburg, Wake, and Durham counties because we were focused. It just takes a small group of us, of dedicated, focused folks who join together at gatherings like this who can make a difference. A small district, 2,700, we were number 9. Just let that sink in. You can make a difference, and I need you to go out and get involved in these meetings. It is that these GOP county conventions and other conventions like this that we need to ensure that we put pro-Trump people in power. Next election season starts now. Will you be part of it? Get on your computer, look up where and when the GOP in your area is having conventions in your county and congressional district. I challenge you to make this happen. Thank you for listening to me. God bless you. God bless North Carolina. God bless our country. God bless our Constitution. And God bless the United States of America. Now, that's my book. Now it's my turn. Kim Coley. Come up here. I met Kim Coley, I don't know, it's 3-4 years ago. You look at her and you go, wow, that's a beautiful woman right there, don't you? Yeah. But you know what? Over the course of the last couple of years, I got to know this woman on a more personal level. This woman, she's a patriot. She's highly intelligent. She has a wonderful sense of humor on most days.
60 or so.
One of her top attributes is her faith in God, her conservatism, and her strength. I'm putting her on the spot right now because I'm going to ask her to speak. And I want her to speak a couple of minutes on... We were at a rally up in Smithfield. Was it Smithfield? And I think it was a German reporter. German. Well, come back to that one. Last rally here, right here. Remember those protesters with their little horn? Meet, 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 meet. One of them came up and attacked her. She dressed this guy down, and he walked out of here with his tail between his legs. Going back to Smithfield, there was a German reporter, I think he was German, who questioned her subservience. He used the word subservience to her husband. This woman is a great mother and a great wife, and she dressed this guy down, telling this German guy that it wasn't subservient, that her and her husband were a team. It impressed the living daylights out of me. I want you to talk about that, Kim.
Well, I am one that believes that you've got to start where you're at before you can be effective anywhere else. And so if my husband and my children, who I have a 11th grade, a junior at Apex High School, and actually Connor, I told Connor last rally, my kid, my baby stands a little over 6 feet, about 6'1", 265 pounds. I said, listen, I said, anytime you want to run, my baby will be there as your Secret Service, okay? We got you. He's a linebacker. He knows how to hold the line. And my oldest, who is in Wilmington, I don't know if you heard, but during the campaign, one of the professors was appreciated because she would go out and somebody had written Trump in chalk on the walkways, and she had gone and creating a safe place, had taken a bucket of water and was washing it off. And my son, almost 20 years old, just a sophomore, said that is her right. That is her freedom to be able to create a safe place. And then he pulls out a piece of chalk and he says, but it's my right to put it right back there. So if my men in my family can't tell or testify who I am, what good is it for me to gain the whole world and lose my own? I have to live it at home. And my neighbors who are from Indian and Hindu descent to, I have Middle Eastern neighbors. They will tell you who I am. I have been the same Kim Coley for the last, well, I won't go that far because that'll age me. But I have been that neighbor to them. I don't change. My integrity didn't just start. And just because somebody says that those who are voting for Trump, those who voted are racist and bigots and one-sided and don't have the capacity for other faiths, other religions, I respect other people's religion. Just don't tell me I can't say the name of Jesus in an open forum, because I will. Because I personally thank him for what he did for me. And if they choose not to do that, you know what? It was not my right, or it was not given by me. Their freedom to choose was not given for me. That was actually given by God. He gave them the right to choose. And if they don't choose him, that's on them. That's fine with me. My job is not to go and convince the world they're wrong. My job is to let my light shine so that others may see my good works and they glorify my Father in heaven. As far as people and the protesters, well, I'm a mother of a football player. And I address every protester as I would a wild teenager. First of all, if you didn't do your chores, why are you standing here wasting my time? Go do what you're supposed to do, and then you can tell me how effective that was, and we'll go from there. And last week, when that gentleman ran through, I thought they were on our side. They were creating this false wall around us. And he had the audacity to stand behind this stage and mimic one of our senators. And all I did, people, wasn't aggressive. I just stood between him and the stage. My back was to you all. And I told him, this behavior is inappropriate. And he says, you're blocking. I have the right to stand here. I said, you do have the right to stand here. You don't have the right to be disrespectful. And he says, you're threatening me. And I said, we've got TV cameras pointed at us. I said, I don't think that'll play well in the media that the blonde with her hands in her pocket was threatening you. We just have to know who we are. And it first starts in our home, in our communities. in our counties, and then to our borders and the othermost parts of the earth. That's where it starts. When the gentleman, the reporter, was actually from Argentina, and when he said that, I just let him know that my husband and I, he was asking me, not only was I subservient, and my husband, when he sees this recording, will really think this is kind of sweet, that I'm subservient. And we'll just leave it at that. But that he was saying that it was the Pence and the Trump ticket, and that Pence was actually being kind of blindsided, or it didn't match, or that what we really wanted was a Pence in there and not a Trump, that we were going to get Trump in there and then kind of move him aside. And I said, really? First of all, what an audacious comment about the integrity of who Pence is, that he would come in there to undermine the integrity of the conservative party. That is not who he is. I said, just like my husband and I are a team, so is Pence and Trump. One does not outdo the other. They stand firm. And people, we have to stand firm. You are not me, and I am not you. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking you to be a Roger or a Dallas, although I would like to be a Connor. I would like a retake on that. But I'm asking you to be the best you. Nobody can be more effective being you than you can be. And I met this next gentleman. Huh? Do Dallas next? Well, then I've got to flip it. Dallas Woodhouse is the executive director of North Carolina Republican Party and has been leading the fight against the left in North Carolina for years. He is an outspoken, like we don't know that, for President Trump. Oh, he's outspoken for President Trump. We just know him as outspoken. Dallas doesn't need a PA system. And you've probably seen him on TV, in the papers, working for our cause. He is a force to be reckoned with. Dallas Woodhouse.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? Look, I don't want to talk to you too long. I think most of you know me and have heard me before, but I just want to tell you that I am encouraged where we are going presently. Whether it is the good things that our Republican legislators are doing behind us. You know, this week they helped pass a very important veto override to return partisan registration information to our judicial races in North Carolina. And that's important because what we know is when people are empowered to know a little more about the judges, including on how they're registered, more people will vote. And the truth of it is people like constitutional and conservative judges, and Republicans here in North Carolina, despite a veto from Governor Cooper, have helped right that wrong. So, and more people will vote in judge races because of it. It's a good thing. You know, we've all seen what happened with the health care bill over the last few days, but I would just remind everybody that we're just barely 2 months into this new administration. And a lot of these things take a long time, and they meander, and they can be frustrating. But I have no doubt that all of our Republicans are working in the best interest and will figure out the right answers to repeal and replace Obamacare and send the Affordable Care Act to its death and replace it with free market systems. I am confident of that. And I think it's important, you know, that we have a variety of Republicans, and when you're in the majority, you have now when you're in the majority in the Democrats, you have a lot of bad ideas. When you're in the Republicans, we have a lot of good ideas, and it takes time to work through them. And I would encourage you, as somebody who works with Republicans all day long. And some of them are more conservative than others. Some are from rural areas. Some are from more metropolitan areas that I see them honestly as trying to do the right things. And you may not agree with everything that they do, and when they don't, you ought to tell them. But I see them as trying to move us down the field in the right direction. I would also encourage you, when you see things up at the General Assembly, when you see things in Congress where we're doing it right, let your elected representatives know that too. Because they hear from the left, or they hear people that are upset about something all day long. So, they really do need to hear from you. Two other things, we're going to see a lot more protesting and anger from the left over the next few months. Folks, we got to stay strong and we got to stay busy. We got to keep working together. We got to keep coming out for Donald Trump and all our Republicans, because we are now one team. However we got here, however we started, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Rand Paul, Phil Berger, Dan Forrest, Mark Walker, Mike Lee, Mark Meadows, we are now all on the same team. Families will squabble, they all have differences, but at the end of the day, I have no doubt that we can come to the right answers to move America in a freer, more free market, more open, more transparent direction, and away from the Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and Chuck Schumer Democrats. I encourage you and ask you to get involved in some of the traditional parts of the Republican Party. We will be leading the effort to help return Donald Trump to the White House in 4 years. We're going to need new people coming to our county conventions, our district conventions, our state convention in Wilmington. We need help registering new Republicans. We gained a lot of new Republicans through this election, and we have to keep gaining them so we can keep winning elections. We cannot do this without you. Donald Trump needs you. Dan Forrest needs you. Our Speaker of the House, our President Pro Tem of the State Senate, all need you, and we need you at the North Carolina Republican Party. I thank you for your dedication, your hard work, and together we will continue the journey that has just begun of making America great again. Thank you.
During Ryan's freshman year at Campbell, he started an organization called Students for Trump, which was first started as a small independent Twitter account that he used to tweet support about Donald Trump and his candidacy for president. Within months, the small Twitter account grew from 1,000 followers to 20,000. Around the same time of that happening, the official Donald Trump for president campaign reached out and asked for his assistance. After Ryan was tasked on the campaign, he created one of the largest student movements, and you'll see why as we welcome Ryan Fournier.
How's everybody doing today? Let me first start this off by doing something that helped us win this election with millennials. Let's take a selfie, shall we? Social media was one of the largest playing roles in winning this election. We knew that we were not going to win this election without the help of millennials. We knew that we were not going to be able to win this election without the masses of young people that can go out on their social media pages, their Instagram pages, and promote Donald Trump. I'll tell you, in the beginning, though, it was rough. When we first started, I started supporting the President Trump in 2015 when he first announced. I was on board. This guy supported things, immigration policy, trade policy, about China ripping us off in trade deal, the deficits that we had. This was not being brought up by other candidates. And we knew that this individual can make America great again just by how blunt, how brash, how straight-coming he was to all the American people. He didn't just speak to one type of individual. He spoke to the common individual, the common man, common woman, all in America's public population. And he knew exactly how to get the point across. He didn't want to go up there on stage and speak a bunch of crap. Nobody cared about the politically correct terminology. He knew exactly what to say and how to say it. And that is what made this man excel to become president of the United States. And I will say, starting Students for Trump was a blessed moment for myself because we were able to create one of the largest social media movements in the history of political elections. Larger than College Republicans, larger than Turning Point USA, larger than Students for Hillary and Students for Bernie. We created this large movement. Students would send photos in of them wearing Donald Trump gear, Make America Great Again hats. All of this cool stuff they'd send in to us, we'd repost it. That would motivate people. That would make them want to go out and vote. That would make them want to go out and volunteer when they see this stuff. And in tune, that turned into votes. That turned into efforts out there on the ground. That got people out on the national call to action days that the Republican parties did in every state. That in tune did so much more than many people think. And there were so many, not just millennials, that took over social media. I bet you almost everyone out here has a Facebook or Twitter or Instagram page. Am I right? And you go out there and you post your support for Donald Trump. You going out to vote. If you're car pulling people to the polls, you posted that on there. This rally was advertised on social media. There was so much done through social media. But I will tell you, it wasn't always this great. Before this election, the Republican Party was living in the Stone Age in terms of how they collected voter data, how they got information out there. They were not utilizing social media. It took until the RLI, Republican Leadership Initiative, which I learned some things through, to learn the new methods of the party and how they were going to reach out to the young folk. Because without the youth vote, without getting those young millennials out there volunteering, door knocking, phone banking, we knew that Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders would have been president, and that is a no-no. So moving forward, this movement created such a strong ground game. It created a voice for millennials, for them to get out, go on their campuses. We started the chalkening with the help of Donald Trump's campaign. It was that movement, what Kim was talking about, where students went on their campuses with chalk and they wrote their support for Donald Trump. They put chalk, they put Trump 2016 or Build the Wall or Make America Great Again. And this simple piece of free speech on campus, political symbolism, pissed off so many people on the left that they needed their safe spaces. They needed their cry-ins, as they call them. They're no longer called sit-ins, what they did back in the 60s for civil rights. Now they're called cry-ins because we can't be men. We can't be men about things. We can't be built up about things. We got to cry. And that's how you have to look at it now. We live in a different generation. We live in a different generation, and it is sad to see what's happening on college campuses and what the left is doing, how professors are treating students because of their political views. It's shameful. It's shameful. And I don't support everything he does. But Milo Yiannopoulos should have been able to speak at UC Berkeley in California last month when those students started protesting, burning cars, knocking stuff up. That's a no-go. We need to have political speech, because without freedom of speech, without debate and discussion, we will not progress as a country. We will not progress as a nation. We'll just be has-beens. We'll be sitting here arguing with each other, bickering. We'll get nothing done. Debate and discussion and facts. Facts is something that the Democratic Party, liberals on the left, do not like to hear when you go on campuses. I've traveled across the country with our team. We went to campuses from Texas all the way to North Dakota, from New York to California. And I'll tell you one thing, there are so many students on these campuses on the left who do not want to hear the truth. They want it to be sugar-coated. They want to hear all the BS they can get before they have to face the truth. And that's the sad fact of it all. That's the sad fact. So Milo should have been able to speak just like any other speaker on that campus at UC Berkeley, but he was sadly not able to, and we're not going to stand for that anymore. Not under this new administration. We're not going to stand for it. And not to mention, on college campuses, that's not the only thing that's been suppressed. I got a couple different articles. Some of it actually happened right here in North Carolina. Trump supporter attacked at New York City College. MAGA hat set on fire at NYU, downtown, Midtown. It's ridiculous to see what happens. You can't wear your MAGA hat. UNC Chapel Hill, flyer posted on UNC's campus expresses acts of violence to Trump supporters. I'm sure you guys heard about that on the news. They were calling us racist. And we've been called that so many times for no right reason, no facts behind it. Donald Trump is not a racist man, and there's nothing to prove that. He's been a great individual. I know personally Lynn Patton, who's worked as his diversity counsel. She's African American, wonderful lady, has the best views and opinions about Donald Trump. Omarosa Manigault served on the Diversity Coalition. African American, has some of the best opinions and views about Donald Trump. He surrounds himself with some of the best people in the business, some of the best individuals who know what is right, who knows how to push this country in the right direction. And we have to put some faith in them. Just like what happened with this Obamacare bill, this Ryan Care is they're phrasing it as. That is expected, that happens. That is just politics in general. Sometimes things do not work out, and it's unfortunate, but we're only in the first 2 months, and look what we've gotten done. Look what we have accomplished with immigration, with foreign policy. Rex Tillerson's going around this country. He's already traveled to 20-something countries in these 2 months, working out deals, seeing how well we can get good trade deals going. We have so much extra time. We have 4 years, hopefully 8, right? 8 years. We have a lot of time. We're going to get a lot done. And with that being said, we can't stop here. And that's why Katrina Pearson, former spokesperson for the Donald Trump campaign, is starting a nonprofit called America First Policies, which is going to be advocating for the policies that Donald Trump is putting out, supporting him in the White House. About last summer, we knew personally, myself and my team on Students for Trump, that we cannot stop here. We cannot just say we're done after Students for Trump, we're done after the election, we're just going to move on with our lives, we're going to see how he does. We're not going to do that. I am starting a nonprofit called Generation Onward that's going to work to promote the America First policies on college campuses, targeting millennials from left and right. We're not going to judge you because you're a Democrat. If you support some of the policies of Donald Trump, we want you on board because we promote debate and discussion. We promote the facts that come out. We want true debate. We don't want people to be sanctioned off on their campuses. We don't want people to go into their safe spaces. We want them to come out, and we want to know what is pissing them off so much to make them want to do what they're doing. And that's why we're starting this nonprofit, to engage millennials on campuses nationwide by involving them in activism and advocacy, creating that strong social media movement while at the same time having that strong ground game, that activism unit that goes out there and supports the President of the United States for these next 4 and 8 years that he's in office. And that's what we're planning on doing. But we cannot do it without your support. And that's millennials in general. They need the support of the baby boomers, the older population. We need to get you guys out there and helping during this election because we got primaries coming up. And just because we helped and we worked our butts off to get Donald Trump elected and Mike Pence does not mean that we don't have these primaries where we can lose seats in the House and Senate. And we need you, the GOP needs you to get out there and support the President of the United States and these local candidates, George Holden. We got David Rouser. We got Supreme Court seats. We got so much stuff that is going on that could affect the votes, could affect the party. And we're going to need you out there, not just millennials. We got to have a united hand to get out there and support these candidates. But I know together, there is no I in team. There's no I in team. We're a family in this. And we have to work together to not only make this country safe again, but to make this country great again. Thank you. God bless.
I dropped it.
It's so funny. I feel like by saying, what a great kid, it sounds derogatory. And I don't mean it that way. I just get so hopeful by these young, passionate men and women coming up. I want to say real quick as Jamal gets ready. Did you hear me? That was a subliminal message? Okay. I want to give a shout out to the Kendricks of Roxborough for the porta potties, and thank you very much for their support and supporting us as we're out here. And I also want to let you know that we have a food truck that has just pulled up, and they have fish and chips. They're Oak City fish and chips. And so you don't have to sit here and just smell the food or see other people. Yeah, dipping in. Thanks, Terry. Appreciate that demonstration. But you can go ahead and head on over there. Come here, Jamal. I don't know a lot about Jamal Lane. Matter of fact, my notes that have been all blown apart told me to get his bio. And they said, you'll really like him, Kim. Yeah, I don't know him. So what we're going to learn together about this magnificent presence of Jamal Lane. Would you please welcome him?
Jamal makes pretty good videos.
Hello, everybody. A lot of you may recognize me and my voice because I call it a KCO Day Show. I'm Jamal. And also, I got a Facebook page and Twitter account because I am sick and I am tired of what's going on. If you're sick and you're tired, you're going to speak up and you're going to stand up and you're going to fight. What is worse than a liberal? Because we expect liberals to be trashy what they are. But when you got spineless, henpecked, sissified Republicans who won't fight, who won't stand up, who won't do anything but just sit there to get along, who are we to blame? We know what liberals are going to do. We know it. We know Barack Obama and what his crew was going to do, but every time a strong conservative, a strong Republican get out there like Donald Trump, CNN always run to their favorite two Republicans, John McCain and Lindsey Graham. And every time they're always going to speak against President Trump. Yes, John McCain is a war hero, but let me say this. Past greatness does not suspend you from present-day ridicule. Just because you did great things in your past does not mean you cannot be ridiculed right now in the present. When the Congressional Black Caucus, and personally, I don't even know why they still exist, because you have the Congressional Black Caucus, you got the Congressional Latino Caucus, and you got the Congressional Asian Caucus. If somebody said, well, let's have the Congressional White Caucus, you're going to be called a racist. So why do we allow those things? And as Republicans, we have to speak out about it. I had my notes. I was a little scared to get up here and speak, but I said, no, I'm not going to be scared, because I know what I have to say, and it's the same thing if I was saying on my videos. We know the media don't like us. We know that. We know the News and Observer lie are going to sit there, they're going to lie, they're going to do whatever they can to do to bring the Republican Party down. When that big, fat, lying, jerry curl whammy William Barber wants to go in there and start his little speeches, where was he when the Democrats controlled North Carolina? They didn't have a moral Monday. Every time they want Democrats, they call William Barber. And he comes up and he does his little marching. Every time the Democrats come out with something, he's never against it. I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. That's where I was born and bred at. And when Amendment 1, let's go back down the road. When Amendment 1 came out, the ban on gay marriage, William Barber went to black churches and was telling them they shouldn't vote for it. Some of the pastors was like, why? This is God said marriage between a man and a woman. What do you have against it? What's wrong with that? Well, it's just Republicans discriminate. It's just Republicans discriminate. And nobody pushed back except, I want to say, his name is Grant, Upper Room Prayer. I think he did push back. But the Republicans don't push back. I was so glad to hear that here in North Carolina that we are asking that the NCAA and the ACC get their tax exemption stripped. And while you're stripping them, strip the NAACP, because let me tell you what goes on when people try to reach out to the black community. What they will do is they'll have a Republican come in and speak, but what they'll do is they'll put someone to come up and speak behind that Republican. And what he'll do is he'll go to say things like, well, are you against voting? You for a poll tax? Let me say this. Because so many people try to say things that are against voter ID. When William Barber, the NAACP, the ACLU, and all them liberal organizations start saying that voter ID suppresses the vote, this is what they are saying. One, black people too stupid to find the DMV. Number two, black people too lazy to go help the elderly go get an ID. And William Barber go to the nursing homes, and he'll go to the communities, and he'll go drag old folk up to the legislator, and you can't drag them to go get an ID? You also said that black people still in slavery because we can't go take a little time off to go get our ID. Then you said, well, we can't afford a free ID because North Carolina was going to give a free ID. So there was no reasonable excuse to be against voter ID other than you want the same old voter fraud crap that's been going on. And if we want to talk about that, I'm sorry, but Governor Cooper should not be governor if Durham hadn't pulled that crap they pulled in 2016 when they kept the hours open when the polls are supposed to be closed. And now one Republican here in our legislature has said something about it. This is what's going on. How do you expect our people to turn out to support us when we won't fight? President Trump finally got vindicated about the wiretapping. Mr. Nunes, Representative Nunes, came out and said, yeah, he was being tapped. Things were happening. Was CNN, that racist piece of trash, Don Lemon, that racist Van Jones, and that racist Charles Blow, oh, well, it really didn't vindicate him. Let me tell you something about Don Lemon. If y'all remember last year, right before the convention, we had 5 police officers who were shot and killed in Dallas, protecting that Black Lives Matter trash. Because truth be told, I've said it before, you tell me one time, because people always try to say, well, black people being targeted and being hunted down by the police. Well, the numbers don't say that. So why when that young man that was shot and killed in Louisiana, when his son, a police officer, shot through his car, Black Lives Matter didn't say anything about it? Why when that boy in Chicago, the special needs boy, was beaten, cut, and they did it on YouTube Live? Yeah. Sean King on his Twitter page said, I'm not going to say anything. It's been happening to black folk a long time. Let me tell you something. If you try to reach the black community, one-on-one, yes, it's possible. But when you get the groups, it is a wall of stupidity and ignorance that you have to face. Because what somebody's going to tell you is, well, if you ain't for criminal justice reform, you don't like black people. Whoa. I'm for criminal justice reform, but I'm for you doing your time. If you do a crime, you do your time. Like I said, if past greatness don't excuse you from present day ridicule, then past failure does not exempt you from present day greatness. So yes, you can make a mistake. Hold up, there's a difference between a mistake and a screw up. Man, people know not all crime is the same. Illegal immigration is a crime. What, that little girl being raped in Maryland because of illegal immigration is a crime. That's horrible. And what people try to do is, this is what liberals try to do. They try to make it sound like if you say illegal immigration, you're talking about every person that came legally. And then they try to make it seem like that when you say illegal immigration, you automatically talking about Hispanics. There's some Africans here illegally. There's some Europeans here illegally. So they're not just talking about it, and when they talk about it, and they're talking about letting them stay here for free, what about the people that paid their money to come here legally? What about those that paid over $5 and $10 and $20 and $30,000 to get their families here? Do their money count? Oh, so you can just hop the fence, jump the border, and well, we just gonna let you make free, and you just gonna come. And somebody say, well, it's about compassion. It's about compassion. Let me tell you something about that love excuse. There is love, it's love, it's love. Let me tell you something. There's different forms of love. And some love is not good. You have love of the flesh, you got love of money. So obviously not every love is good. And to put it, illegal immigration, in a way we can understand, I'm a father. I have 2 daughters. Hopefully God bless me with a son. If I come home, me and my wife, we just came from church, and I see my son in the refrigerator. I look at him, boy, you eating all my food. Yeah, Dad, I love you. But if I come home and I see the next door neighbor, son, in my refrigerator, eating my food, that's a problem. And that's the thing about illegal immigration. Are some Americans on welfare? Yes. Should we make them work? Yes. Should that be a requirement? Yes. And that lie about, well, real Americans won't do that job. You know why so many Americans hate hard work? I'm HVAC. I install HVAC. Because we are being conditioned to believe without a college degree, you can't be nothing. Hold it. Not everybody's built for college. There are some good professions, brick masons, electricians. Carpenter. I'm a former unit. I was in the Army. I was an 82 Charlie Field Artillery Surveyor stationed in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So it's some professions, and we have to get that back. We have to start the entertainment. Whenever time you look on TV, you want to know why we have a hatred for police officers? Anybody that's my age, I'm 41 years old. I grew up with the Transformers, and I'm going to tell you what something they did, and they do it piece by piece by piece by piece. What they do is they made a police car in the Transformers, the new one. The bad guy, when originally he was an Autobot and he was a good guy. Well, how many times you seen shows on TV now honoring U.S. soldiers? How many times do you see shows right now where they are promoting hard-working men? Men coming home dirty, dusty, sawdust. Do you see that being promoted? What you will see being promoted is a con job. Some man believe he a woman. That's what that is. That's a con job. Matter of fact, let's call it identity theft. Because you're sitting up there trying to steal the identity of a woman. You a man. Or you a woman trying to steal the identity saying you a man. You are not. You are born male, you are born female. That may hurt your feelings, but that's true. That's how it goes down. And what they do is they get us through entertainment, and what we as conservatives and Republicans do, we still sit there and watch it. We still sit there and buy whoever's promoting it. We have to stop this. We have to stand up. This was promoted for over 2-3 weeks. This right here, Mr. Moore, he contacted me and he said, Jamal, I want you to speak. I'm like, well, I do videos and I call in the KCO Day Show, but it's different when you have to stand in front of people. He said, you know what, just be yourself. And I said, okay, I'll do it, because I'm just going to tell the truth. Here in North Carolina, you have some Republicans that are talking about repealing HB 2. Governor Cooper told a lie. North Carolina is not suffering because of HB 2. Lieutenant Governor Dan Force went to Texas, and because Texas is planning on doing a HB 2 of their own itself. I believe North Carolina had over 500
$500 billion in revenue last year. Do you know how much money we lost because of HB2? 5 million. 500 billion to 5 million. And he told this lie over and over and over that North Carolina suffered. North Carolina isn't suffering. North Carolina's doing good. And I'm sorry, my wife and my 2 daughters are more important than somebody dribbling a basketball up and down the court. If you want to play football, okay, that's fine, play it. But my wife and my daughters are more important than that. And what the media does, they constantly, if they can push a narrative, oh, it's discrimination. No, it's not. There is nothing wrong with telling a man you need to use the man bathroom, telling a woman you need to use a woman's bathroom. No matter how good you try to tell your lie and dress up, you still a man, you still a woman. I'm not going to fall for the con job. We have to remain vigilant. We have to fight when things like this come up. We cannot be scared we supported President Trump. We cannot be scared because if you listen to how liberals talk to people, if you are black and you support the Republican Party of Donald Trump, you a house nigga, Uncle Tom, you a coon. Now look, this is what they say. And I have been called this by a white liberal. And a black person was standing right there, and I looked at him. I said, now that's racist. Now me being who I am, I said a few words back, and well, hey, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna sit up here and make it sound like I'm the most peaceful person in the world. That's a lie. But we have to, when they tell us, when we say what we believe, well, you're being racist, you have to look them in the eye and say, so what? I don't care what you feel. Because what liberals try to argue at us about is through their feelings. And people say, well, you can't argue a feeling. True, but I can call it stupid. I can call it dumb. I can say, you know what, I don't like it and I don't care about what you got to say. As we leave, the next time we have an event, I hope you still got your Donald Trump stickers on your vehicles. I hope you still got your I voted for Trump. And let me say this also as well. Year before last, when they had that shooting, tell me, and I have asked this, how did the battle flag of Virginia coming down help the black community with its crime and out of wedlock birth? I'm sorry, that the battle flag of Virginia, they call it quote unquote Confederate flag, was General Lee's battle flag for his army. Doesn't hurt or harm anybody. I grew up in the early 80s, and that's what some people wore. And you know what? They treated me with more kindness and more respect than somebody wearing a red, black, and green with a black fist on the back of their coat. So let's start allowing liberals to tell us what we are and start telling them what they are. Thank y'all for letting me speak. Y'all have a great day.
Educated.
Celebrities? I want to hear you talk about Jane Fonda, Madonna, Ashley Judd.
Well, truth be told, Jane Fonda should have been locked up, and a woman, because women served in Vietnam as well, should have approached her a long time ago. Because what Jane Fonda did, anybody that's a Vietnam vet, remember, she went over to North Vietnam and took a picture with an AA, which is called anti-aircraft gun, and she would act like she was firing on U.S. planes. And let me tell you something about Hollywood, since you asked me. They are the biggest bunch of lying hypocrites it is. Because let me tell you something. When that turncoat, John Boehner, he left and gave speaker over to Paul Ryan, this is what he did. He gave a budget to where they tax exempted the first $10 million on movies. Who does that benefit? Those in Hollywood, but they want to tell us about giving to the poor. They want to tell us about being overrated. The Hollywood elite got so many tax breaks that it's laughable. And something else that we don't realize, the power we have as Republicans. Do you know we are one state away from being able to call a constitutional convention? How many people realize that the media keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming because they want us silent? Because if we call a constitutional convention, we can amend the Constitution, and certain things that they have done can be done away with. This is the power that we have. Now, you don't expect a News and Observer lie or News and Tell a lie to sit there and tell you that and tell the truth, because if William Barber don't sit there and come down there with his fat self and come tell them, well, it's going to be discrimination if the Republicans hold a constitutional convention. They're going to put us back in chains. Brother, first of all, it was the Republicans. I think we fought a thing called the Civil War. And the 13th Amendment was by Republicans. The 14th Amendment was by Republicans. The 15th Amendment was by Republicans. And what some people don't know, there was a 1957 Civil Rights Amendment, a 1960 Civil Rights Bill that Kennedy and Johnson shot down. That was under President Dwight D. Eisenhower. So where does this come from? People are willingly to be ignorant for the sake of power. Because if you look at the black community, let's just tell the truth. I don't care who don't like it. Look at the black community and the disaster it is in. That has been in the hands of the NAACP for over 50 to 60 years. And they have done absolutely nothing but got fat and rich. That's it. My past, I was a no-good piece of trash drug dealer one time. That's what I was. But you know what? I remember being in Rocky Mount and some of the NAACP coming and telling me, make sure you come out and vote. You ain't telling me to stop destroying my community, but you want me to go vote. Every time we have liberals come and they fill up the parking lots and stuff, why don't William Barber go take them to State Street and shut down the crack houses and shut them down? I'm sure the Raleigh PD would love to have activists down there and shut the crack houses down. But you know what? They can't do that, because then it'll be too much like right. Chicago, look at Chicago. It is a war zone. And that ain't cause of Republicans. They got gun control. That is because of those who are in power and those who the black community keep in power. So let me ask you a question. Is it really a problem that the government needs to solve from without? Or is it a problem that the people need to solve from within?
I want you to know that I became a follower. I know it doesn't mean a lot because you have 60,500 and something, but I'm one more. I know Jamal. Yeah.
I got a question. Talk about electoral college and the popular vote.
Hold on.
First of all,
do you need some water?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now take two.
Every time you hear, because I promised Mr. Moore, he said 7 to 10 minutes, and I believe in honoring. When somebody give you something, I believe in honoring. Every time you turn around, you always hear, oh, Hillary Clinton got the popular vote. Hillary Clinton got the popular vote. She got California, New York. That's her popular vote. If you take California and New York from Hillary, Texas and Florida from President Trump, he still beats her and gets the popular vote. What they did was try to run the score up in states that she already had. So when I hear them start saying that they ought to eliminate the Electoral College, what the Electoral College did was said, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and San Diego won't determine what goes on in the United States. This is why we have the Electoral College, and it must stay. Those that are in Johnston County, small area, Nash County, where I'm from, Edgecombe County, those people there have just as much power as those in Los Angeles. And one thing a liberal hates is actual equality. They really don't like it. What they want to is beat you with the word of equality so they can turn around and dominate you with power. Because if they really cared about the vote, and we care about vote intimidation and vote oppression, then why you throw out all the votes of Amendment 1, Proposition 8, and all the other votes that you don't like when people vote against gay marriage, abortion, and all the stuff? Oh, that vote don't count. But we gonna vote the other way. Come on. This is what's going on. This is why the Electoral College is important. We must keep the Electoral College because they're mad. And I hear this example so much. People in California vote is just as small and worth the people in Wyoming. Well, that's good. So that means instead of flying over the state, maybe you should stop and actually visit and come talk to them. Celebrities like Don Lemon on CNN, I said it before, his rhetoric got those 5 officers shot. His rhetoric did, and people don't forget, right before that, they interviewed Barack Obama because he was doing some climate chunk change interview, and he said it. But nobody laid that on their feet because they're Democrats. If you're tired of people laying stuff at your feet, you have to kick it away. You have to. I'm sorry. Yes, we got President Trump. Yes, we got Lee. Yes, we got Cruz. But they can only do so much. If we're kicking the trash away that the liberals are throwing, that makes them even stronger.
Let's not forget Trey Gowdy, because he's a magnificent American.
Yes. Trey Gowdy, I thought at one time he was going to make him Attorney General, but we got a great Attorney General with Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is a great man. They have tried everything they can to throw him out. And this is something I don't understand. Liberals act like they are in power, and when a Republican appointee come before them, that appointee gonna be like them. You didn't win, you lost. Why do you think we gonna have someone that's gonna be pro-choice, aka killing babies, pro-gay marriage, aka mixed up household, and all this other stuff? They're not. They're conservative. We won. We won in 2016. We won. They didn't. So our appointees should be like nothing they like. And if he is or her is, then I don't want them up there. Well, you know what? People like William Barber and the NAACP have tried their best. But more and more have recognized that when you're driving your big Cadillac, eating at the good restaurants, and they're still out there struggling, and they're trying to make it, they want jobs. We here have to put working back in style. We have to put back in the school shop. We have to put back in the school electrical classes. We have to put back in high school brick masonry. We have to put back in high school HVAC, because it's not that Americans won't do the work, you just won't give us a chance to do it.
So if you didn't catch that, mine is Jamal on Facebook. You can follow him. If this just wasn't enough, which it probably wasn't, this was just an appetizer, you can follow him on Mind of Jamal. Yeah, great stuff. I tell you, if you leave here and you're not passionate and you're not excited and you're not ready and knowing what you're fighting for, that, you know what, you should have stayed home. Because this was great today. People, this was good stuff. Our final speaker really is an amazing woman in her own right. And I love the way she puts it, so I won't steal it from her. But she's a successful entrepreneur, a talented software engineer. She's a first-generation immigrant and a proud American. A warrior fighting on our American dream borders. I'm going to skip that. I want her to tell her own story. Sue is an amazing woman, a woman of passion, a woman of courage. She just ran for Congress right here in the 4th District against Price, who's been sitting there for 26 years, and she gave him a run for his money, let me tell you. Yeah, she's a tough cookie, and you'll see why. Let me introduce you to my favorite Chinese cookie. Miss Sue Googe.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to thank everyone coming here today to support President Trump. You know, when we call President Trump, it's already a victory. We are just so close to call. We see the history going to turn the other way around. What an amazing run. And we should pat ourselves on the back, even though there's a lot of difficult time here. And we see, even we put the right man in the White House, what a tough job he has right now. And how many oppositions, how many anti-American forces within our soil. Right? Yes. I'm first-generation immigrant, grew up in communist countries. I'm a female, I'm a minority, I'm a college educated. I'm one of those people not supposed to supporting Trump. Well, you know what? The people call Trump supporter racist and sexist and bigots and xenophobic. I feel that exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. Who are those people deciding because I am minority, so I should think the way, whatever the box they put me in? Isn't that not racist or not? They think because my gender, I should think or act certain way. Is that not sexism or not? Right?
Yes.
So they're already media labeling me. You know what? I grew up in communist country. The liberal did in America is exactly the mini communists did in communist country. They love to control the education. They love to control the media. They love to twist all the facts. It doesn't need to be fact-based. If they believe you can convince them, confuse them. That's their tactic. The scare tactic just to force people to believe. They don't believe in equality. No. As soon as they find out I'm a Trump supporter, you are not even qualified to be a minority anymore. You are not even qualified to be an immigrant anymore. It's just like a gay person supporting Trump. He already kicked out of a gay community. This is very, very tolerant and lovable community, right?
Poor Peter.
That is the first act we see the tolerance, the love from the left. They are preaching exactly the opposite of what they are doing. I can tell you, when I sworn in as American, one sentence I love the most: land of the free because of the brave. I live in several countries, and I travel to many countries. One distinguish between American and people from the other country is the good people in America are brave. That is the key difference. Do you think in the Muslim country there's no good people over there? Yes, there are plenty, but they are not brave. They are weak. Good people elsewhere are weak. There are a lot of good people in Muslim country, but when they face evil, they choose to back down. They don't fight. And that's why evil can take over. Why communists can take over some countries? Because the good people are staying weak. When good people stay silent and be weak, evil are taking over. This is what's happening in America right now. If good people are staying silent and just let the other side run around, we'll be losing our country very quickly. It's just blink of your eyes. In a few years, it's not even decades. In a few years, if you're giving in. That's why I so appreciate each one of you here, showing up in this beautiful Sunday. You got many things to do. Everyone got busy life, but you choose to be here. Why you be here? Because you love your country.
Thank you.
Because you care for your children's future.
Yes. My grandchildren. Yes.
You care for what your grandchildren, what kind of country they living in. Are they going to have the same opportunity you have? When I see things, I always see a few steps ahead. When I see millennial no longer wants to own houses. As a real estate investor, you know what is the first thing come on my mind? Who owns America?
Yeah.
Who owns America? If our young people don't want to buy a house, they want to rent from whom? There's a lot of countries have sovereign fund. That's one thing I keep talking about, economic invasion. You don't hear other politicians talk about. If American being taken down, it's not because the fighter jet fly over our head to drop bombs to bring us to our knee. It's economic invasion, it's cultural invasion to bring down this country. This is not, many people bring down Trump is the very first person talking about trade deficit. Why is it so devastating? It got out our manufacturing base. It got our economies. We'll be forever enslaved to foreign nations. People don't even have to fight one bullet to win the war. They just cut off the shipment. We even don't have enough material to build our weapons. What's the fight? So voting conservative is just a step. We have to stay vigilant to see in the big pictures. We're going to lose our game on economic invasion, cultural invasions, because that's how you can gut off the entire country without physical elimination. If our children do not own any houses, they only want to rent because they feel homeless, they don't have a job. They can't make anything, the men don't want to get married, they don't want to have kids, the woman couldn't find a good man to get married. Well, you know what? What's the next generation going to be? What kind of kid they're going to raise? What kind of parent they're going to be? The reason I get into politics is not because there's a lot of fun here. Because when I see so many young people supporting Bernie Sanders, that sent a chill to my spine. When I grew up in communist country, and I was personally experienced those brainwash, those indoctrinate, brainwash BS. When people being taught when they were young, they're probably going to stick with the rest of their life. A lot of people doing that. I can tell you, Mao already died 40 years later. He still got huge followers. People even don't care he already killed 30, 40 million people. They're still following him. So if we have young people believing in a lot of free stuff, you know who believe in free stuff? They don't believe in their individual capability to build stuff. They lost the confidence on themselves. But that's what's the beauty about American. American became the greatest nation in human history because we unleash individual sovereignty. We respect individual sovereignty. The left ideology is gut out the individual sovereignty, make conformity. If you are black, you're supposed to think that way. If you are redneck, why are you supposed to think that way? If you are Hispanic, you must jump off the fence. This is a racial profiling. There is racial profiling right there, right? Because the left have no respect for individualism. When you got all individualism, what's left? Slavery. Slavery do not feel empower individualism. They're empowered by being told what to do. And that's exactly what's the game the liberal try to play. In my lifetime, I'm fortunate enough, alive, to witness how human beings gain freedom and is about to disappear in front of my eyes, in our generation's eyes. We must fight. We can't we cannot stay silent. Good people stay silent. Evil will take over. Evil will never come off human society until the distinguish of a human race. It will always exist. Fighting for freedom is a perpetual fight. It's never stopped. Just Ronald Reagan say, freedom just one generation away from extinction. Freedom is not free. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. You want to be a free person, you have to pay for blood. And our ancestors already paid for it. We can't just turn our freedom away voluntarily. A lot of issues politicians do not talk about doesn't mean it not exist. Just like our trade deficit. Many years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, when I feel so strong, why we keep shooting jobs overseas? There's no politician talking about. And I feel so strong to the point I have to register a domain name called supportmadeinusa.com. I didn't know what to do, but I just feel I need to do something. But there's still nobody talk about it. But doesn't mean it's not a problem. Until Donald Trump say that, like, you know what, you speak my language. And you speak many Americans' language. You are our man. That's why I chased him down to the staircase. Mr. Trump, you have to run for president. You have to. Don't back off your idea. I wrote him a long, passionate email saying, you are the last hope for America. Come on to run for president. And he did won. He did won. God bless him. God bless America. He is on the road to make America great again. It's not an easy path. Do you see what kind of opposition people put on in front of him? What the freaking Russians? We're seeing a Russian ambassador was a problem. Our politicians see ambassador, they're all piled in D.C. in a pile. I mean, you go at McDonald's, you will see 10 ambassadors in one place. What's that even the problem? Now the Trump, when he's talking about a trade deficit with Mexico, with China, with South Korea, all this problem, all of a sudden it disappear. What Russian ought to become the big kind of problem? We never have direct conflict with them for a while. So people just try to make something out of thin air so they can deflect. So they can deflect attention. So that's why our country going downhill. We never focus on the real problem. We always chase wire Googe on all the foo-foo problems created out of thin air. Just like those Russian things. Even you see ambassadors so freaking what? They also see Chinese ambassadors, they see Israel ambassadors, they see Mexican, they even go to Mexico too. Obama went to Cuba. Obama gave $1 billion cash to Iran. Why that's not a problem?
That's a big problem.
That is a big problem. I think that was a much bigger problem to get to see our Russian ambassador, right? So this is the game we're up against. Someone control the media, control the education. If someone control the education, they can poison the entire generation. You're gone. You're gone. The America I signed up for is the strong, brave, and good heart American. Right here. Right here. And many others across the nations. It's not the little commies coming from communist country and still escaping here, try to infiltrate these great nations. We must stay vigilant. And thank you very much to showing up to support for our President Trump. And God bless you and God bless our nation. Thank you. Thank you.
Isn't she a spitfire? Woo! Glad she's one of us. Again, I want to thank Voter Integrity for being here. I want to thank Donna Byers and Wake GOP for providing the T-shirts and coming out and doing that. I want to thank the Kendricks of Roxborough for the porta potties. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our afternoon event, but we don't want to push you away. We want you all to hang out, meet a new friend. Please make a new friend. Say hi to Jamal, his lovely wife, and their children. Say hello. Just don't talk to the sound guy because he doesn't like any constructive criticism, or I just don't know. Okay, he's telling me to be still or he's going to cut my mic off. And then please enjoy the food truck with the fish and chips. We're just so glad you came. Please take this with you and go.
Well, that concludes our rally. I am coming home. You all have a great evening.
The American